Welcome to episode 182 of the Collector's Quest podcast. In this episode, we're talking about 10 out of 10 games you can get for about $10. Prices have been going up, especially in the past couple years, and if you've been hyper-focused on the trendiest parts of the market, it seems like all the best stuff is just unaffordable now. So for this episode, who knows, maybe a first in a series, we're going to look at games that are cool to collect that cost almost nothing. Also, someone lost their audio for the show, so I had to use the backup Skype audio for about 2/3 of the show, but the last third has better audio quality. So tell your mom about the show, give us 5 stars on iTunes, and let's go. Back to another episode of Collector's Quest. I'm Tyler, here with Johnny, returning guest Stefan, who we're actually going to have now as a permanent host on the Collector's Quest podcast.
All right, let's settle down.
After multiple weeks of medical problems and last minute cancellations.
Yeah, let me tell you, kidney stones, not the jam.
They're stones. They obviously aren't jam.
Yeah, they turned my kidney into jam.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I heard you thought that you were afraid of exercising afterwards because you thought your kidney would explode.
I did. Irrational fears are a thing that I suffer from, and I get into my own head sometimes. And I legitimately was like, if I exercise today, this was like 2 days after I passed a 2-millimeter kidney stone, and I was like, is my kidney going to actually rupture? That was my fear. Unfounded. I have exercised several times since, and so far, knock on wood, my kidney has not exploded.
Pervasive thoughts are great.
Oh, yeah. The best.
Well, we are happy that you are doing great. Stefan, what's going on in the world of video games? And buying them to put on shelves.
I mean, I don't know. I don't do that anymore.
God damn it. Johnny, give us some content right now for the listeners.
Oh, you want me to tell you what the show's about? Are you trying to transition us?
I wasn't trying to transition, but it seems like we have nothing to talk about, so we're going to get right into it because I was
actively talking about my medical condition and my irrational fears.
I didn't want to linger on your 2-millimeter kidney stone. Talk about,
so let's just go.
Tyler's like, let's get to the business, and then I'm like, oh, you want to get to the business? He's like, no, I wanted to keep talking about stuff.
It's good to be back. Good to be back, guys.
Hey, Stefan, it's good for you to be back. Is that what I'm supposed to say?
I don't know, but the long pause and the aggravated sigh did not sell it.
Oh. Well, Tyler can fix that in editing, right?
I'm just cutting all of this out. It doesn't matter.
No, please don't. No, this is great. This is gold.
Tyler always says he's cutting it. He doesn't have enough time to edit the show.
When Stefan goes back and re-listens to the show, he will know I cut it.
I feel like it's just Tyler always said he doesn't have time. I don't. Maybe he's just not. He just doesn't know what he's doing. But he just says hey, I don't have time, so that we think he's very skilled. And
that's my strategy at work. If you just always look busy, and then it looks like you're really competent.
People are like, oh man, that guy's doesn't have enough time. Yeah. Pro tip out there, just block out your calendar except for 10-minute chunks in between hours, and people will just be like, that's the busiest guy in the world.
Yeah. Except for just make sure your supervisor can't actually see what your calendar.
Yeah. Pro tip. If your company uses something like Microsoft Office and they set you up, they can do it. So, boss people can see what's on that appointment or what meeting that is.
Yeah, so when you make the appointment of I hate my job, maybe you don't name it that.
Yeah. I've seen some pretty interesting ones. So
usually I just put block. It's very safe. That's my pro tip to you. And if anybody asks about it, I just say, hey, look, I just needed some quiet time to finish this thing.
Yeah. It's also, that's a fair strategy at work. If you feel like you're overwhelmed and can't get things done, do block out your calendar so you can do those things. Because I get the curse of meetings. Just, hey, we're always going to put you in a meeting. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to work. And meetings only generate more work for me. So then I have to create fake meetings to do the actual work that all the meetings demand.
Yeah. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
So there's your professional pro tip, your office working pro tip for the day too.
I mean, I have more life tips if you guys want them, but we can save it for later.
I don't know. I'm just surprised that I'm the person on this show who doesn't create fake meetings on their work calendar with strategic names to not.
That's because you're always in these, like, you're like, hey guys, I've been in this meeting for 18 hours. Like
I've got real meetings taking up my time. I don't need fake meetings. Your calendar
just like seems to be just this one consistent meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what your work looks like, but if someone sees an open slot in my calendar, they're like, I'm going to jam a meeting in there. And I'm like, I have to work. I have like goals and 90-day markers I need to hit. So if I just leave calendar space open, people will jam things in there.
So true story. Last time I had to duck out because of a work reason. Now, again, Tyler is that person who tells us all the time that he has been like working for 18-hour days, or like, hey, I haven't slept in 2 days, and like is like sleeping under his desk and all this crazy shit. So this was I think a Saturday, and I was like, at the last minute for the podcast, I was like, hey, I gotta duck. Like, things were exploding at work, and if you Google our earnings call, you can probably figure out that I was having a bad day. And Tyler told me that didn't feel like good work-life balance. I was like,
what? It was a Saturday. Yeah. What
Tyler's
are you talking about?
Yeah,
I can work 18 hours a day, but not on Saturdays.
Balance, Tyler.
People should not compete to see who has the worst work-life balance.
That is true. Everyone should be striving to have
I have an excellent work-life balance. Thank you very much. It was just a hard day.
Tyler, I want to know, as we're being so combative with one another, I would like to actually just take a moment and be thankful that we have a podcast and that we get to have these jokes with one another and that we get to do this episode. Maybe you could tell us what this episode is.
Well, Johnny, I was just thinking about how thankful I was that there are really cool video games out there that are just sitting really cheap. Actually, I was mostly thinking that last episode we mentioned this, like, oh, we should do like 10 games for $10. And then immediately here we are at the next episode, and it's like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do that. So, and then we can shoehorn in a Thanksgiving theme of being thankful that these games exist.
Yeah, I'm thankful that you can buy a bunch of games that are awesome and could be collectible for under $10. So that means if we did like 5 or 10, you could, for under $100, you could get a pretty sweet lot of games.
I noticed you said could be collectible there, Johnny. Are you suggesting that people undervalue popular stuff?
I do. And also people say, those aren't collectible. They might not be collectible now, but now is a paradigm that will shift into long ago or back then. You know, Sure. It won't always be now. It will one day be the past. So, and you would be surprised how things shift in the past. Like once upon a time, a black box Mario was just a game that, you know, pretty much everyone just went and bought, and it wasn't that big a deal.
Once upon a time, 2 years ago.
Yeah, right. I was on Collector's Quest when I bought my first copy of my first complete copy of Super Mario Brothers. I bought it for like $30. It was a hang tag.
Yep. Just saying.
I mean, I think there's two ways to look at like these super common games, or at least inexpensive games. There's the games like Mario Kart 64 that was $10, maybe more like $15 at some point for a cartridge of that. And now I don't know what it is, $50, $60 maybe. And everyone looks back and like, oh man, I should have bought it when it was $10. And it's like, but it felt like it was so common, even though it's something of this like continuing popularity. Everybody loves Mario Kart 64. But then there's also the stuff, using a comics analogy, like of Infinity War or Batman Nightfall, where there's just so goddamn many of those books that they're $5 books forever. And that's great too, that some of like the best stories ever made will never be expensive. I think either way, it's cool to have that stuff.
Right. Well, and the other thing is there's so much of that stuff because people want to own it. It's still today, like other people got rid of it, but it's not like less people. Well, I can't say it's not like less people are being born into the world. World birth rates have been down, but in general, more people are, new people are coming into the world, and, they may want collectibles too. And if they're going to find stories, they're not going to find the worst stories first. They're going to find the best ones, the ones that were mass produced and, are easily accessible.
Is it true that birth rates have been down over COVID? I just kind of, I guess I just assumed we were going to get another baby boom.
I don't mean over COVID necessarily. I mean the world birth rates down in general over the last couple of years, if I'm remembering right.
Millennials don't want to have babies, Johnny. We're too busy with our avocado toast.
Is that isn't that a joke from like 10 years ago?
Yeah.
I feel like it's still used. I'm using it ironically to make fun of the people who used it non-ironically a long time ago in an ironic sense, Johnny.
I have used recently avocado toast, like for real, has become my like dish on the menu to like judge a restaurant by. Only because like I feel like it is impossible to fuck up that bad. And if you do, like that's a red flag.
That's like saying if you make a bad peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I don't want to eat at your restaurant.
Well,
which is not how I want to judge a restaurant. I would hope to judge you on greater complexity than that.
See, but for me, it's like also like Italian restaurants, like spaghetti and meatballs is a good staple, right? Like if they can't get that right, then like what the hell? That's sort of along the same lines. Now that I'm dating a vegan, avocado toast is often on our menus. And so it's become my judgment dish.
Oh, man. My judgment dish is vegans. I won't go into it, but I don't like vegans confuse me. I understand vegetarians. I don't understand vegans necessarily. I understand situational veganism, but just blanket veganism is confusing. Because like if you owned a chicken and raised it well, the chicken will lay an egg. And then if you don't eat the egg, then it's waste.
I mean, that's fair.
So like it gets confusing. Like same with like if you have a cow and milk. I understand that not everyone has like a mini farm and then thus they cannot live that lifestyle.
Right.
But, if you're just promoting animal welfare, it's like, okay. But when you're just like, all meat is murder. And you're like, well, eggs, I'm not murdering a chicken to get the egg. They're like, eggs are murder. You're like, well, what is happening? Not that that's actually what vegans do, but I've had some crazy conversations with some vegans. I said, that's fine. What you go put whatever on your menu you like. I don't actually care what you eat. It's just sometimes it is confusing. I also work at a place where there's a lot of vegans, so you can get into these kind of conversations whether you want to or not.
That's right.
Yeah. So
sorry, I yanked us off track, and so
yeah.
So I apologize to our vegan listeners for having to put up with Johnny complaining for no reason on something that doesn't affect him. Johnny,
man,
would you?
What a millennial! You want to go give everybody a hug now too?
Oh man! Oh, that's
Tyler.
pretty confrontational for Gen X. Don't you usually stay out of everything and just let us fight with the boomers?
Yeah, I mean, don't you have like some TikTok audio you can play in the background to describe how you feel, rather than saying the actual words out of your mouths?
I don't have a retort right away. I'm going to have to concede this one to you, and I'd like to be non-confrontational from this moment on, Johnny.
Wait, is Tyler on TikTok? Are you on TikTok?
Tyler is on TikTok.
Is he? Tyler, what's your TikTok?
He's doing all the videos.
No, I'm not.
On TikTok.
There's not like I thought about being like retro gem miner, but no.
Dude, oh my God, why is that not a thing?
Right? Because guess what? There's no audience there. my audience is old game collectors.
Yeah, because you're not serving them the content.
I'm just saying, there are people out there doing TikToks about VHS tapes. You could make it.
Yep.
There's an audience for VHS tapes. There's an audience for everything, Tyler.
Yeah, you know what? I have a podcast to do right now where I'm going to deliver some hot content into my listeners' ears, though, Johnny.
Okay.
Starting out with your first $10 game that you should put in your collection. We're going to start with a bang here, because I got 4 games out the gate, Johnny. All of them complete in box,
Bangers.
Cardboard box for the Atari 2600.
You got CIB cardboard?
Whoa!
For under $10.
Okay, to give the rules here, it's a $15 limit. It was games around $10. I didn't want to do games that are like $18 because that's pushing it. But all these games are $10 to $15.
They will, if you created an average, it would be $10.
Sure.
Let's go.
Also, we mostly just looked at like eBay sold listings.
Yeah.
Just for clarity.
I mean, if we're really going to get into it, like shipping this cardboard, if you really want like nice ones, you probably have to get them at a convention or something. Because if you buy something for $12 shipped on Atari 2600, you're going to get that in a bubble mailer. That sucks. But I don't know, buy in bulk. Like buy these 4 games, Johnny. Let me get into this exciting bundle of games I'm going to talk about. 1978 brought us Space War.
Me. It brought
Shut up,
me.
John.
1978.
Space War is based on the actual Space War, the PDP-1 game, ported to Atari 2600.
I thought you meant it was about the war that happened in space.
The actual Space War. No, this is Space War, 2 words. The actual game is Space War ! This is a bad port of Space War. I don't know if there were hardware limitations or something. It's a janky 2-player shooter. I don't think there's a 1-player mode. I don't remember. But anyway, it's only on this list because of the historical significance. I technically think this is the first console port. I know the source code was like published in magazines that you could literally type into a computer, like an Altair 8080. I don't know if that would count as a release of the game. I would say not. Johnny, next game, the historic Breakout made by Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs, where Steve Jobs tricked Woz into making the circuit for Breakout and then didn't pay him enough for it because Steve Jobs is kind of a jerk. But
he's dead though, so joke's on him.
Yes. So Breakout, intended to be sort of a 1-player Pong. If I could fit Pong on this list, I would have, but I think Pong Sports was more than $15. But Breakout was an inspiration for Space Invaders, also less than $15 on Atari. Also a very important game. Also, obviously, I think it's the best-selling game on Atari. It might be that or Pac-Man. So it's super easy to find. I think this is I think all of these are the first home console versions of these arcade games. So, I mean, yes, you could go out and buy a Space Invaders cabinet, but if you just want, like, a taste of the history, that $10 taste that you can get the Atari version. Johnny, putting it all together, less than $15, you can get Asteroids on the Atari 2600, which takes elements of Space Invaders, it takes the hyperspace element of Space War, and puts them together into another hugely influential game that costs almost nothing. I think putting these games together for $10 each and having a little story like that, I think that's a super cool thing you could do, especially since they're complete in box cardboard games.
That is cool. That's an interesting list.
And then so for all of these, I would just say, so go to videogamevariations.com and you can go find those first prints because most of them are super minor variants or like date codes on flaps, and it is not worth describing them in audio.
It's also not worth collecting them, so there's that.
No, they're great. I mean, unless you're going to go get a Breakout cabinet, which I don't know how much that is. I'm guessing it's a little bit collectible, so pretty expensive. Just go get it for $10 in Atari. Don't get Super Breakout. I know Super Breakout's a better game. Get that original. Also, my fun fact for this, when Breakout, the arcade game, was originally made and Atari went to copyright it or patent it, I forgot which one. They tried to copyright it and it was deemed to be like not artistic enough. There like wasn't enough there to be worthy of copywriting. But then that case went to the Supreme Court and Ruth Bader Ginsburg was like, video games are art. What are you talking about? So shout out to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the first American politician to recognize that video games are art.
Also dead.
Also, she's dead.
I'm just gonna keep track of people who are dead in this conversation.
Okay. Yes. Steve Jobs dead.
Yes.
Woz still kicking.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So go buy some Atari games.
All right. Are you going to go through the rest of your 5, or did you just want to get out that block of games?
I just want to get out that block. We're starting with the bang. Got 4 games in a row. All of them $10, Johnny. Wow.
Gonna keep talking later? Oh, goddamn.
Yeah. He's going to be allowed to talk later. Stefan, why don't you give us like 2 of yours right now?
Cool, because like
give us your 2 earliest
shoehorn a bunch of crap no one cares about into one thing.
Okay. Shots fired. Wow.
Shots. I don't know.
Stefan came back mean.
I don't know what happened. I'm sorry, Tyler. Sure. Hey, so I kind of stuck to like the Xbox, Wii, PS2 sort of era, except for I do have a PS1 game, but we'll talk about that later. First one I think I'll talk about is Burnout 3 for the Xbox, under $10. We were trying to figure out what happened to this franchise. I guess Criterion just kind of evaporated and then took that franchise with them, because I'd love some more Burnout. I think Paradise was the last one we got. Somebody keep me honest on that.
I mean, technically, the Need for Speed games that they made were pretty much Burnout games, but yeah, that was the last big one.
But Burnout 3, fucking fantastic game for the original Xbox. One of my favorite arcade racing, is that the genre? Arcade racing games ever made. Under $15. And if you haven't played any Burnout games at all, I think you will be pleasantly surprised. Even if you don't like the racing genre, it's really more about blowing shit up than actually racing. And it's sort of like like a destruction derby sort of game, but mixed with like actual racing. It's very cinematic. It's like supposed to be kind of like playing a Michael Bay car chase scene, where you set up you kind of set up the cars for the biggest accident you can kind of make, and there's buttons to blow shit up. Anyway, great franchise, love it. $15 or less. Actually, I think this one was like $8 or something like that. But yeah, it's good stuff.
And it's the best Burnout game.
It is.
Because Traffic Checking ruined Revenge, and Paradise is overrated because I don't want an open world racing game.
Yeah, it got too sandboxy. It's like, I don't need that. I don't.
Like 75% of the time I played Paradise, I was just driving around the city, which is fun. Like, I love that aspect of racing games too, but I never actually wanted to start a race in Burnout Paradise.
Yeah, so like Paradise, for the audience who hasn't played the game, Paradise is they sort of try to layer in the like overworld GTA map, and give you a more sandboxy experience, but it was dumb. I don't need all that. Just fucking set up my awesome crashes and I'll blow shit up and it'll be great.
I think Forza Horizon does the Burnout Paradise thing even better, because I feel like I want to play the races in Forza Horizon, but I also enjoy driving around Forza Horizon. I don't know if you've played those games.
Haven't. No.
Oh, all right. Well, good pick.
Does it like focus around actually like blowing stuff up? Like
no. Forza. I'm just thinking it's a good way that they've combined sort of the open world driving with actual races that you want to do, as opposed to Paradise, where I never felt like I actually wanted to race.
As a bonus, if you do like the Burnout stuff, I would also recommend a game called Split Second, not only because it's good, but also because I worked on it.
Whoa! So, when you said game that was like playing a movie, that's like, oh, you're talking about Split Second.
Yeah, it's very, very similar, but a little bit more racy, like where like Burnout is way more crash and much less race.
And these ones are like women dressed in scantily clad outfits, racy.
No, not that kind of racy.
Oh,
but it's actually cars dressed in scantily clad.
Oh, like,
yeah.
Ew! You just like anamorphized like
right.
the Cars movie and made them like. Now I'm just picturing Lightning McQueen in lingerie, and I'm
cars do wear bras. Anyway,
they do.
But yeah, so Split Second is much more racing than it is blowing stuff up, but you still get to blow stuff up, and I'll sign any copy you put in front of me ever. So there you go. Sign that game all day.
Stefan, what about the Burnout 3 ESRB variant?
I don't care.
Okay. All right, we're not going to tell anyone about that. It's okay.
Do you want to tell them about it, Tyler?
I don't know it. I'm desperately Googling over here, Johnny. I am almost positive there later releases of the game. There's a rarer later release of Burnout 3 for Xbox, at least, that has like a minor change in the ESRB on the back. Do you know who would definitely know this? Dan Gomez. But I can't find his Instagram post where I'm almost positive I learned this. But there is a variant that no one cares about.
It's probably because he did that horrible thing he does and archives it.
Oh, dude.
I'm like,
this is ridiculous.
Why? I'm like, you archived good information so no one can see it. I mean, he's got reasons, but like, I was going to re-reference that. I saved it, and now it's gone.
So when there was the anniversary of the Xbox, like this last week, and so I saw all these other people posting about like crazy rare ass content, and I thought about Dan Gomez because I always thought that like Dan was just like the only guy doing this stuff, and then I'm just like, oh, there's like other people who are like really into this, and I'm like, I wonder if he hates those people.
What?
Why would he hate them? You think there's some like intrinsic competition and therefore he hates them? I
do, yes. That is
Is that how you feel when you compete with people? You just hate them?
All of them. Art collectors hate every one of them. They're all terrible people.
Well, the art collecting world is
true.
Different.
Hold on. The art collectors are all terrible people. That's full stop. And then there's this other thing you're doing where you're competing with them.
Every time art collectors buy something, it's like saying, fuck you, you can never have this. When Dan Gomez is like, check out this Burnout variant, it's kind of uncommon. It's like, oh yeah, let me go check eBay. I'll go get one.
All right, Dan, at me and tell me if you hate all the other Xbox collectors. I'm desperate to know.
I love everyone else posting weird stuff and variants on Instagram because I want to steal all of your information.
I created a whole Halloween tag hoping people would join up and show me things I didn't know about. Please, I'm not mad at you. Show me what I don't know.
I can't find this Burnout 3 variant, but it's there. Look at 100 copies of Burnout 3. You'll probably find it.
Totally worth it. 100% worth
And it's like the late print kind of uncommon. I don't think it's that rare. Like it's a variant no one would ever care about.
Yeah, it's like zero monetary difference.
Absolutely. Oh, this will never have a monetary difference.
I love my long way of saying go play Burnout. Good
okay.
Honestly, go play any of them. None of them are like bad. They're just like different.
They're just not good.
Different levels of good.
Someone didn't play the Burnout DS game, is what that sounds like to me.
That's fair.
That game is awful.
Really?
How awful is it?
Ugh.
Is it under $10?
It would have to be. If Burnout 3 is under $10, no, it's a Nintendo game, so you never know actually on that.
That's right.
It's like a platform exclusive too. Johnny, do you want to tell us about a game that people might actually care about?
Sure. I'm going to talk to you about Bubsy.
All right, never mind. I'm going to go on to my next game.
Bye. See you later.
Yeah. No one. You say that, but how many Bubsy games have there been? They're still making Bubsy games today.
Yeah, I guess they are.
You are correct.
Also, Bubsy is historically important because it was the game that triggered the lawsuit for Sega, Accolade versus Sega about whether they could make those unlicensed games, which then eventually got, the Accolade games in their computer style boxes, to be licensed games later.
I'm 100% in now. You just gave it some historical relevance. Guys, why are we not buying Bubsy?
Right. And there's a fun one. So because the lawsuit happened around this, the Bubsy, you can find it in a box in varying conditions, like one or two, but you can get one and it's like between $8 and $14. I mean, it can be as high as like $25, conditionality of this, but there's a cool variant to buy. And the variant you can get is the one that comes, it's, that computer style box, like I said, but it has the Sega seal of quality sticker on it. So, and it says, watch out for a TV special. So Bubsy also had a TV special. So that's how much Bubsy action was going on back then. So you have something that has cross-cultural appeal. And you got this fun version with that wasn't a licensed game that then they put stickers on to make it licensed. How good is that?
I'm so in on this, Johnny. That is such a good variant.
That's actually kind of interesting.
Do you know where you can learn about that variant, Johnny?
Where?
In the Video Game Sage Sega Genesis Complete in Box Contents thread, where some guy named Default Gem posted it on January 27th.
Did you post that on January 27th?
I sure did.
I'm sorry, I completely ignored what Tyler said and focused in on the fact that you just made a warehouse reference.
Where? The warehouse. Yeah, sorry. Welcome back to the 90s and 80s for I'm an old man. I can make old man references. There you go.
Real weird deep cut.
Yeah. Would you like me to tell you about Long John Silvers and their hush puppies? I don't know. Like, would you?
I'm sorry, this is not nearly as funny as I am giving it credence.
Yeah.
To all my younger listeners, I have no idea what's happening right now.
Yeah. You're in the same boat. Just ignore old man Johnny.
There's a bunch of dudes in their 40s right now that are chuckling at this.
They're like, yeah, that's the one. I did love Long John Silvers and their catfish meal. Those hush puppies were off the hook. They're old, so they say things like off the hook and the bomb.
That's right.
Unleashed. Don't like it. That shit was dope. Always a phrase I never embraced. Gross. Not into it.
By the way, Burnout Legends for the DS and the PSP are under $15. So
they can say.
I think the PSP one was pretty good, but I could be misremembering. I conflated them.
Oh, just a little more on that Bubsy one. The one with the seal of quality is a lot harder to find. So, if you see that one with the seal of quality on it, grab it.
Yeah. And then use some like Goo Gone, take that off and just
clean the stickers off your boxes. Yeah, fuck stickers. Get them out of there.
That's really less than $15. I mean, you said it's condition dependent, but yeah.
Yeah,
right,
I mean,
that's like it's a cardboard box game. It's unlicensed.
It's like I see some that have sold for under 15, and there's like one that's $12 right now. It's not great, but yeah, it's there.
All right.
Basically, I wanted to talk about this Bubsy, and it's like pretty collectible, and you're not going to find too many Genesis games. And if this was just 2 years ago, I could have talked to you about Sonic 2.
Or Sonic the Hedgehog. Current $600,000 game.
So, anyways, I mean, we can probably still talk about Sonic 2 in box if you want to talk about one of the best games ever that, like, just bonus content that you can still find for probably $15 if you're getting a deal. Like, go buy a Sonic 2.
Do you really have to hunt for a $15 Sonic 2? Like, I know prices are up, but if there's some things that I just feel like have to be inflation immune.
I feel like it's like crested. I think there are a bunch that have crested over the $15 marker. Not like they're like between that $15 and $20 now.
All right. I mean, if you're gonna get one, get a nice one, I guess.
Yeah. So, anyways, Bubsy. I thought that was an interesting one to just kind of talk about. It's really cusping on that upper price range. There's going to be a lot of good stuff I can talk to you about later, but yeah. Get Bubsy. I just thought that was a fun one to bring up. You got my other bonus Genesis one is no one talks about this game enough, but Columns was like a really decent answer to Tetris. And it's fun and good, and it's not expensive. And there are so many different prints of Columns. There's like the regular one. There's the classics version. There's the classics in the cardboard box. There's like a ton of different ways you could collect Columns if you were into Columns.
Was it a pack-in? Am I making that up?
No, there's one that there's a pack-in in a red box, I'm pretty sure. So it should have that not for resale sticker on it.
Yeah, there's multiple not for resale stickers. They've got the long white one with red text on it, and then they got the circular one that's more common. Go get your Columns. As I think the cardboard box Columns, that's one that I feel like that's a game that Daddy Mulk would be like, heads up everybody. There's a cardboard box Columns Sega Classics on eBay. That's a hot variant.
That was really hard to find when I was. Yeah, it was, and it's been a hot variant, honestly.
Yeah, no, people did not know it existed, and then I pulled one out, and they're like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, I think that was one of the ones I had to hunt when I.
I told you that was going to be one of the difficult ones.
Yeah, I did end up getting it, but it was rough. Yeah. And the Battletoads one was rough too.
Battletoads also a difficult one to find. Battletoads can cost you upwards of $100.
Not $15. Yeah, not $15.
Oh, for you guys who don't know, there's a Sega Classics Columns in cardboard box right now on eBay.
The last time we pointed out something, it had sold by the end of the show. Although it wasn't a $70 budget label.
What's it? One of us?
No, I forgot. No. I forgot what game we were harping on. We were talking about something was too cheap, and then it was gone, and it made it look like.
Was it a Batman game? It was a Batman game. It was a Batman GBA game. That was
it was one of those Batman GBA games. Like, why is no one buying this? It's clearly the best deal out of any game we've talked about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a couple. There's a really nice complete column ones. That's like $150. So they're on eBay. People are on to that being like a hot variant, unfortunately. At least
but just go
like
get your regular $10 version of Columns, puzzle game no one likes as much.
It's a fine puzzle game. Columns inspired a lot of, like, the thing with gems. They were the first one doing it with the gems. Like, come on. Yeah, Columns is an important game. People don't give it enough credit.
Stuff.
It also had was Columns 2 on the not the Master System. Oh my God. Game Gear.
The other Master System. Yes.
Yes.
I think you're right.
And then, but it was Columns 2. Was that on the Genesis, or did it just go straight to Columns 3?
Went straight to 3. A game with very bad box art. Terrible.
Awful looking. You're like, I don't know what I'm looking at. You're like, is this a scepter, or like? And then they like had a perfectly fine box art. I say perfectly fine, and I mean not good. And then they're like, how could we make it worse? And like, it's like a platform with like gems in between some columns, because the game is called Columns, so why not put some on the game? And they're like, yeah, maybe we could put some really bad looking gems all over it, because that makes sense, because they're like falling. And they're like, all right, but I feel like it still needs like one more really stupid element to make everybody hate it. What if I just put a guy in like a yellow shirt and like that like acid tone blue jeans that's definitely very 90s and 80s, and he'll be like expressing his like, I don't know why the designers chose to do this either. So fucking bad. It's one of the worst box arts, and he's like happy about it too. He's like, this is very confusing. I don't understand this decision at all.
I'm guessing that's the guy who designed Columns.
That's gotta be. You do not hire that guy. That is not
this guy. Like, he is like an 80s and 90s dad, if there ever was one. Yeah. Like, check out the dad shoes on this guy. It's ridiculous. Also, like, you would say they photoshopped him on, but that's not really what they did, because this is like old newspaper editing where they like cut him out and set him on. The images there's no blending at all. It's terrible.
Yeah, no, somebody did that with an X-Acto knife.
All the art doesn't make sense together. It's like all different stuff. It like wasn't all done in the same thing. It's like, it's so bad. I don't understand it. Tyler, make sense of it for me.
No, if this hasn't been, I know Angry Video Game Nerd did like a series on bad box arts, and I don't think this was in it. And looking at it, it's impossible to imagine why not.
There is, however, a Reddit thread of people like, who the fuck is this guy?
That's a fair question. Yeah, I forget about Columns 3, and then I see this stupid box, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is one of the dumbest things. It makes the Phalanx cover look really nice, because at least that's like a consistent, well done image, even if it's confusing.
It has like proportions that make sense, because it's mostly just a photo of a guy. This is like a guy that is clearly too small, photoshopped on an animated image. Anyway, Johnny, I want to get out ahead of errata here. Columns 2 is only in arcades. Columns, so the entire series is an arcade series ported to the Genesis. But Columns 1 and 3 are both on Genesis and Game Gear. Columns 2, arcade exclusive, Johnny.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, I don't know where Columns 2 is. I just knew it was not on the Genesis.
Also, apparently, it's in the Columns arcade collection for the Sega Saturn in Japan. If someone wants to get me on that. Yeah, like anyone's playing Columns 2. What's different?
I don't know. Like, I want to see your graded Columns 3s. Show me those.
Is that a pretty easy game to find sealed? I bet there's a graded Columns 3, Johnny.
I want to see it. If there's one, you can show it to me later. Anyways, those are a couple of games that are cheap that you could go get. Tyler, tell us about your other one so we can get off this Columns.
All right. I've got another one that'll make Stefan mad. I'm going to talk about Utopia for the Intellivision, a game that came up last week on Collector's Quest.
Oh my God, his name is Todd Smuntz. Sorry. Okay, now we can go back. It is known. His name is Todd Smuntz. He was the assistant lead art designer.
Wow, that is an unacceptable person to put on the
designer of art.
Of course,
his last name led people.
Of course,
he made artistic decisions, and that's what he came up with.
Of course, his last name is Smuntz.
He was just an assistant.
Todd Smuntz.
How does this guy get to be in charge of art? Have you If he didn't get fired after that,
this is definitely worth going back to.
What the? How is he in charge?
Thank you, Todd Smuntz.
I just want to say, Todd Smuntz, I've literally never played Columns 3 just because the box art turns me off so much. Like, I wouldn't be, like, chomping at the bit to play Columns 3, but looking at the box art, I'm like, why would I ever put this in? This looks dumb.
God, what a fucking asshole. Fuck you, Todd Smuntz. You fucking dick face. Good Christ. You did this. You did this. You're a leader. This guy got to be in charge and make decisions, and his decision was to put his stupid fit.
My favorite.
So Utopia for the Intellivision, Johnny. It is.
There's no Utopia if this guy exists.
It is the predecessor to city building and real-time strategy genres. It is one of those games, I would say similar to the AD&D games, where you look at it on the Intellivision, you're like, shit, this looks like really complex and interesting for such a shitty console that I don't want to play. And that is exactly what Utopia is. It is... how do you even describe Utopia? It's almost like a 2-player simultaneous Sim City that came out like 8 years before Sim City did. So there's 2 islands on the screen, and using your phone pad on the Intellivision controller, you move your cursor around, and you have 9 different buildings, I believe you can build. And you're like building up crops and housing for your citizens and hospitals to keep them working harder without dying, and your stuff like produces gold, which you use to build more buildings, and fishing boats and fucking PT boats, and your PT boats can go attack your opponent's island, and you can like what is it? You like cause rebels to appear on your opponent's island and just start fucking shit up and destroying them, and they block things so they can't build stuff on top of the rebels that are over there fucking up their shit. I've heard it described as the Civilization 0.5. It doesn't really get to that level. It's also a real-time game, not a turn-based game. But it's more like a placement board game where you're placing down things to generate crops, but happening in real time, and both players are playing at the same time. It's a very interesting and unique game. Super cool in the simulation genre. And another great part about this game is I think it's easier to find sealed than it is to find complete in box. You go on eBay, like literally $13 shipped. This game has always been that or less, and there are tons of copies available. Every show you go to, you will find Utopias. It's a historically important game. Go buy it. It's $13 fucking dollars. Again, no one's got anything to say because no one knows what Utopia is.
Nope.
All right.
I'm also... I wanted to read into that Todd Smuntz thing because that may be fake, by the way.
We're gonna have a spin-off episode about Todd Smuntz.
I'm sorry, but this guy, like, there's no proof in the manual or in the credits that guy's name is there. But I will tell you, whatever it is, not only was this a bad decision for cover art, but they really they enjoyed it so much that he is also in the advertising. There's an image. I hate when we're on podcasts and we have to describe a picture. But anyways, he's in the Columns game and he's like sitting on gems. He's like doing a handstand on one. He's like berating one, being crushed by one, carrying one. It's ridiculous that they not only did they like this guy so much that on an advertisement, they put him how many times? Not once, not twice, not thrice, not 4, but 5 fucking times I gotta look at this idiot in the middle of these gems. I'm very confused.
They thought he looked really fun.
No. Just absolutely not. I'm sorry. Stefan, Tyler, I apologize. I just don't have anything to say about Intellivision games. That is a fun bit of info that you gave us. And Utopia is an interesting predecessor to those games. You can see foundational evidence of what would come later. But yeah, it's in television, so I think it's worthy of collecting for some people, just not in my wheelhouse. Stefan, what do you have?
All right, I'll talk about Jade Empire. So Jade Empire, for y'all who don't know, is a BioWare game that fell between Knights of the Old Republic and Mass Effect. It's sort of like the I'm not even gonna say unsung hero is a bad, because it's not very hero. It's not a hero, but it's a lesser known BioWare title, and that's sort of why I decided to bring it in as just like, oh, you may not know this game exists. Part of that reason is because it's arguably a little bit racist sometimes.
A little bit,
yeah, a little bit racist sometimes.
A little bit.
But it is mechanically, I enjoyed the game at the time when I was less culturally aware. I also enjoyed the game. Today, I don't know that I would go back and play it again for a second playthrough. Other than, like I said, if you haven't played it and are interested in steeping yourself in the history of BioWare, then it might be a good playthrough for you. But it's definitely in the squarely in BioWare's sort of style of RPGs. So if you did like KOTOR and you do like Mass Effect, then you might get a kick out of Jade Empire if you can stomach a little bit of racism.
Hey, everyone's crazy for KOTOR right now. While you're waiting, this game costs nothing.
Yeah, basically nothing. There's a reason why we have cultural sensitivity companies now that look at video games, and I don't think anyone looked at this one. Yeah, Jade Empire. I don't know. Anybody want to say anything more about this game? Because now I didn't even think about it, that part of it, until I was sitting here and I'm like, oh wait, do I want to talk about this? Because it's kind of racist.
Yeah, you know what? I think Jade Empire needs just 3 white dudes discussing it further, and
right?
Well, it was a game entirely made by white people, so
yeah, that's criticism, I think, right?
Yeah.
I think that's part of the problem. I don't know. I don't give a shit. There's the sins of our past. I'm not going to sit here.
Sure, yeah, for sure.
Super rehash.
I mean,
especially
incredibly racist, and yet here we are.
Yeah, I also intent to me matters a lot.
Sure.
Did they set out to shit on a thing? If they did, then yeah, we should go after them and treat them poorly and let people know. But if it was just guys who did it and they weren't aware because it was the 2000s and people weren't aware, then okay, that's I'm gonna just say not great, but I don't want to beat them up too bad. Intent matters. That doesn't make things better, but it matters in the grand scheme of things, I think. So I'm sure I will get a bunch of letters telling me I'm wrong. Whatever.
I couldn't get into Jade Empire. I was the biggest BioWare fanboy in the 2000s because Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Nights, Knights of the Old Republic, all absolute bangers.
So good.
Did not like the real-time combat.
At the time, you didn't get into it?
Yeah, at the time I didn't get into it. I played this right when it came out. I was really into BioWare's, they'd have this thing where the combat kind of feels like it's real-time, but it's all dice rolls in the background, and for some reason I love that. I don't know why. So I just wanted more of that, and then Jade Empire had this weird thing going on.
Jade Empire also, I think, was at least in my memory, there may have been an earlier instance of it, but it was one of the first games that that had shifting difficulty, where it would be if you started to fuck up real bad and kept dying on an encounter, it would be hey, you could just make this easy mode if you want, the game itself suggesting dialing around the difficulty.
I bet there's a TV trope for that, and we could figure out what the first one is. And we're going to right now, or Johnny, we can move.
Oh no, I was just gonna tell Tyler I was with him being a big fanboy for BioWare, and Jade Empire, I got it, and that game did nothing for me. Stone nothing. Did not. I was just this is not this isn't good. And I literally played all the other BioWare games. I played PC games, and I was not a PC gamer to get, because I like BioWare so much. I was like, oh yeah, this D&D game, Baldur's Gate, looks awesome. And then after that, I was just like, I'll play anything they make. And then they made Jade Empire, and yeah.
I mean, they have very nerdy themes, like D&D games and Star Wars, and then like Chinese mythology. I appreciate that they went off and like a left turn and did something no one else is doing. White people take on Chinese mythology. Yeah, I wasn't into it. But then they went to Mass Effect. It's like, oh, we're back. We're back in Star Wars. It's fucking awesome. We're in Star Wars again.
Yeah. Whoops.
I totally agree. Really, I'm still stuck on the Columns 3 guy. I'm not going to call him Todd Smuts because I don't think that's real. I think that was just a troll post, and then people ran with it.
Well, and it made for good content, so that's all I really care about.
Just there's a fun Twitter thread, though, you guys can participate in, that says, ruin any video game box cover with the Columns 3 guy.
I just like how quickly, like, I love it when you fly off the hinge at things, Johnny, but like, you got there real quick.
My fuse is it's been a day. It's been a day. Like I told you, I had to wait outside in the sun. I had to get a shot, all things I don't like. It ruined a bunch of my productive work time, which I hate, because as you guys know, with productive work time, you can't ever get it back. Once it's gone forever. And I was not happy about that. Not happy. It's also, it's like an anniversary of like a death day, for my dad. So it's like, there's a lot of things. The nerve is raw, and I'm quick to go off. So I'll fight anyone right now. You want to fight Stefan? I'll drive to your house.
Fight Todd Smuts.
Yeah, I'll go into the park and throw pine cones into your yard, and make your dogs bark. Late at night, wake up your child.
The worst right now is that the crows are bringing in walnuts onto my property, and I really don't like that.
Do you think, because I remember last year you thought someone was throwing walnuts to your dogs?
Yeah, I think it's the fucking crows.
It's the crows? Yeah, I was going to say, this was on a Collector's Quest episode years ago. Did we uncover the mystery? Is it the crows? I'm
pretty sure it's crows. Yeah.
All right, there we go. Mystery solved. You're like, it's my neighbor. And then you Scooby-Doo unmasked and it was a crow.
I know.
It's like, and I would have got away with it, squawk. Anyways, every time I think of crows, I think of The Secret of Nim, the crow from Secret of Nim.
Yeah, Dom DeLuise.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Man, Dom DeLuise, staple of the 80s voiceovers. What happened to Dom DeLuise?
He died.
Dom Della dead.
Yes.
That's what happened.
For the people keeping track at home of, that's the third now dead person in that word.
Yeah.
But you know what? Todd Smuts arguably was probably dead too.
The post that when I was researching it said he lives alone in Nevada with his cats.
Yeah, that part's probably not true. Or maybe it is.
It's all fake. All right. Anyway, I got a game I could talk about. You guys ready? I have so many good games to tell you about.
Is it $10, Johnny?
Is it cost
It's less.
I'm in.
Less. How much do you want to spend on it? Do you want to spend $6 on it?
Oh, $6.
$6? Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Ooh, I saw that. I saw that when I was looking too. That's a good one.
So, I mean, you guys know I'm a fan of it. We've talked about it on the show before. But also with all the hot Marvel properties and everything going on with Disney, it's like, especially Marvel Ultimate Alliance, which incorporated a bunch of these characters that you had never like really seen or heard of, like in major games. Like, yeah, you always saw Spider-Man and Captain America and Thor and Wolverine. Like, yeah, you always saw the big characters, but Ultimate Alliance incorporated all like the side ones. And now all these like weird side characters are getting shows, and a lot of them are in this game. So, and in Ultimate Alliance too. So I think, all the comic books, if we're making parallels, all those ancillary comics that feature those characters all went up a bunch. So why not grab the games that also featured them, especially probably featured them first?
Is this the key first appearance?
Yeah, buddy, for a bunch of them.
Oh, man. Johnny, I don't know if you
saw. You in?
I'm only in if there's a cool variant.
Well, there are a lot of variants for this game, actually. And if you didn't watch Tyler's excellent video about like how you can go find variants, this is a game that has a bunch. There's greatest hits. You can find it. It's multi-platform, so there's going to be variants all over the place because each one of them aren't going to have the same variants. There's going to be changes there. There's greatest hits. There's game of the years. There's gold, like DLC content released within the game. It's all over the place. You can make this game as collectible as you want. If you buy the gold versions for like the 360, you can buy a very expensive game. But why not get the first print? Because as we've learned, first prints are important. So get the earliest copy you can find, and you'll be able to find it because there is no differentiation in like some of the bullshit variants that are out there. By bullshit, I mean minor variants, text change TRs, address changes, any of that stuff. You can find all this very early, and you can get it. You can find a first print and spend $6 on it. I think there's even some that like are store exclusives. So there's a lot of different ways to collect this game if you enjoy it. But really, I say collect on the access of comic first appearances because there's a lot. And to go along with that one, I'm going to give you a bonus one. Why not go grab the Lego Batman game or Batman 2? Because Batman 2 featured more of those wacky characters, and Batman stuff is building right now. DC is gaining some traction finally after, the long dark days of Batman versus Superman being the only thing that, people could talk about how bad it was. Now you're starting to see them like some movies. Just don't talk about Wonder Woman 1984 and you'll be okay. But yeah, Lego Batman 2 also has some of the same stuff. And, weirdly, the Lego Batman games play kind of a lot like the Ultimate Alliance games and just being like a beat 'em up of over and over world, more simplistic. But if you enjoyed that one, you can enjoy this one too. And again, lots of dumb variants that you can go out and find. But if you just want to get the basic first print, you're going to spend like $7 on it, and you can get it on the Wii. So you're like, it's a Nintendo game instead of buying like an Xbox game or a 360 game. You can go get it on the Wii and feel good that you bought a Nintendo game that's complete for under, $10. Go do it. You can probably get it for $10 shipped. That's amazing.
Are there multiple codes? So there are the variants for this game. They have there's an insert with a code to unlock Silver Surfer. And I don't remember I was just trying to look up what the desirable one is. I couldn't figure it out. But I know there's multiple variants like that, at least on Xbox.
Yes. Yeah, there are. I don't know if there are multiple variants like that on the Wii, but there will be multiple text changes on the Wii. Like I said, there's a ton of different ways you can collect this game.
All right, Johnny, I've got something for you. Speaking of how hot Marvel Ultimate Alliance could be, if there was a 9.8 A++ Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe Platinum Hits that's sold on Heritage Auctions, what would you think that would sell for?
I'm going to tell you that it would sell for probably $30 because the complete one on PS3 is like $8 because it's on my list of possibilities.
$780 is what that sold for.
What the hell?
Just comic books.
Dude.
And then a week later, a 9.6 A++ came up and went for $150, which is still ridiculous, but okay.
Okay. So I'm going to throw some stuff out there, Tyler. I'm just going to backtrack a little bit back to Marvel Ultimate Alliance because I'm also going to include Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 in that same pack. But there is one, if you're just looking strictly at the Wii, there's a variant for Ultimate Alliance that has the Daredevil code in it.
Yep.
Which is great. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 for the Wii, you can get that has a comic book that comes with it. And I love those little comic book collectibles. So that's probably one I'm going to pick up before this show even airs because I'm like, oh God, I didn't realize there was one that came with a comic. That's for Ultimate Alliance 2. So those are two of the bigger variants that you can go get. Just look out for Ultimate Alliance and Ultimate Alliance 2. They look pretty similar because they both have Spider-Man kind of like doing something with his arm, punching or something. One he's definitely punching. One it looks like he might be, throwing some webs. But it's all in the same kind of design. Ultimate Alliance 2 has like a red badge, but it looks very similar at first glance.
Ultimate Alliance and Ultimate Alliance 2 are both key Spider-Man covers. Oh.
They are. Look,
any
game that has Spider-Man on the cover, you should probably go grab, right? Like if it's cheap.
I bought Spider-Man for the Apple II. I was buying another game from the seller and it was like a couple bucks and I'm like, you know what? That's a Spider-Man game no one has. Let me just go buy that too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you were right. There is also a Silver Surfer as well for Wii. I think those were store exclusives. I think one was like GameStop and Best Buy. So that was the kind of variants that were happening back then. So anyways, go look at that stuff.
Locking stuff to stores sucks. Don't do it.
Well, I mean, they kind of did that all through the 2000s. That was
I know. I hate all of it. I mean, it's cool that they made some variants, but man, I don't want to like look at this Fable bonus thing and it's like, oh, it's got the GameStop logo, it's got a Game Crazy logo, it's got an EB Games logo. Like, oh man, come on.
How about all those Halo demos? Or no, not Halo. It was Fable. There was like 4 different Fable demos on the Xbox. That was that were like retailer exclusives. It was annoying.
I know. We'll let the listeners have to decide if they liked that one or not. That was my example, Steph. That was literally what I was talking when you brought that up as the counter example. All right, is it my turn?
What about those Fable ones? Have you seen the Fable demos? Those ones are crazy.
I didn't hear you say Fable.
I'm sorry. Fable? I'm the worst. Did I not say Fable?
No. There's a Stefan problem.
Was I not paying attention?
Totally were.
All right.
You were like, were you looking at your phone? Did you look at your phone, Stefan?
I was looking at my eBay, like what I've been buying for the next segment. But let's just pretend I was talking about the retailer exclusive Mortal Kombats for the Xbox because those are also terrible.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
All right.
Anyways,
Johnny, I've got one.
Who's next?
Is it me or is it Stefan? I don't know.
It's you. This is your 5th one, right?
This is my 3rd of 5.
I have
so you had 4, and then it went to 2, and then 3. Okay, I understand your counting sequence now.
I also didn't have a chance to say because no one engaged at all in Utopia. Utopia has a gatefold version and a flip top version. I believe the gatefold version is earlier. But they're both super common sealed, so I would say just go find a gatefold version. Anyway, my actual one.
I like how Tyler's like, hey, this thing like you didn't care about before, and since you didn't care about it, I'm going to talk about it more.
It's like all the Bubsy games and Deep Bobsy.
There are cool people who listen to this show who like Atari and like old games, because when they say vintage games, they actually fucking mean it.
I said it was my failing. I did not say it was your fault for picking that. I said, I just don't like this kind of stuff. I'm sorry I didn't engage. I'm sorry I didn't throw anything up for you to engage with. That was me being a bad host. How about that?
No.
Wow.
I will not accept your apology because there's no reason for you to apologize, Johnny, because you're the best.
Oh, thanks.
Parappa the Rapper, Johnny. Historically important rhythm game. One of the first console rhythm games. The first console rhythm game.
The worst manual on a PlayStation game ever.
Is it? I've never read it. Who reads manuals, nerd? So actually,
you hoard manuals. You don't read manuals.
Is Parappa the first like actual true rhythm game? So I know like maybe in Japan or something like DDR or Beatmania or Guitar Freaks got a port to PlayStation, but like that's an arcade game, like whatever.
Not even like the drum games.
The drum games. What are the drum games?
Yeah, the Japanese like with the weird drum.
Oh yeah, like Taiko no Tatsujin. I think that started on PS2 when that came to consoles.
Okay.
Anyway,
on Xbox on PS1, there's like the Jungle Hunt rhythm game, and there's the DDRs. What else?
So did you say there's a Jungle Hunt rhythm game?
Not Jungle Hunt, Jungle Book.
Oh, okay. Well,
there's a Jungle Book with the
Parappa came out in 1996. You're gonna have to get me something before that.
You sure it came out in 96? That's in Japan, right?
In Japan, yes. Well, okay. Hey, I'm talking about...
And it's like on the cusp. It came out in like December, so it's like basically 97.
Okay. Well, I'm talking about Japanese Parappa the Rapper, because Parappa the Rapper is like an $80 game now.
Yeah.
This is...
What about Unjammy Lammy? Is that like still garbage?
I don't know. I haven't looked. I would guess it's still garbage. Man, that game's always been garbage. I don't know. No one wants Unjammy Lammy for some reason. Does not get the respect that Parappa gets. Parappa the Rapper, perfect example of a game that is fucking worthless in Japan. I am talking $2 complete in box. If you care about condition, I'm going to bump this up to a whopping $5 complete in box with the poster, with the spine card, and with some ad insert. You can get a complete in box Parappa the Rapper, a game that costs, how do you do math? 16 times as much in America. The one thing to avoid is there is a budget label called the best version, and I believe it has a white border around the art. So just look for the one with the full box art. Go get a $2 copy of Parappa the Rapper. Worth it. Probably can't find it on eBay. You probably have to find it from a Japanese store.
I've got a fun thing you can buy if you're a big fan. You know, they made a ton of plushies for this game, and they made the iconic beanie that you can go get. But did you know that they made a toaster?
Huh. No. What?
Yeah.
Is this an American product?
No. God, no.
Okay.
No.
Wow, this toaster
is... You're talking about a non-American version of the game.
I mean, I figure toast is more of an American thing. I don't know. Like, I don't think about how much Japanese people eat toast.
You think America is the toast people? They're like the rest of the world is like
we came from England, and England has the most boring food. What's the most boring food? Fucking toast.
You can call it toast. Look, I used to kind of be not a toast guy, but then I remembered how much I like bread, and it turns out toasted bread and butter is just good. There's so much bread. There's so many different breads that you can toast. Bread is delicious.
You know, speaking of toasting too, I've always been a guy who does not toast his Pop-Tarts. I just eat them right out of the bag. But recently, I've come around to toasting Pop-Tarts.
It's in the name, Stefan.
Yeah, no, but you know,
if you told me, okay, well, let's do a quick poll. Since we're on this weird subject, and I've polled people on this, and I find it to be controversial. Pop-Tart or toaster strudels? What's your preference?
Oh, toaster strudel, 100%.
No, it was Pop-Tarts only because of like again, I'm a convenience guy, so like toaster strudels being a frozen product, I can't just like grab it out of the freezer and put it in my mouth. But a Pop-Tart I can just grab out of the cupboard and put that shit in my mouth. So from convenience alone, I'm gonna go with Pop-Tarts.
Tyler, are you toaster strudel?
I'm toaster strudel. They are softer and thus more delicious.
So I'm also a Pop-Tart guy, not just the convenience point, because I do like a toasted Pop-Tart once in a while, but also from a flavor profile. And I'm not actually down with flaky crust. I don't like flaky crust things. I don't like my bread to feel like skin is falling apart in my mouth, which is what I visualize when I eat it. Yeah. Well, like when you eat, it's just like, I just imagine that's what like flaking skin is like. Like, just no. I'm not into it. I'm weird on textures, and I'm out on toaster strudels. Completely out. And like, honestly, I just want to eat something quick in the breakfast. I'm not trying to frost an item before I walk out the door.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. But then again, I'm also like a ravioli out of the can guy. So yeah.
Look.
It's only about convenience to Stefan. There's no taste does not come into if consuming a product uncooked will not physically injure me, I prefer it that way.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my oh my God. I just imagine you're just like eating Chef Boyardee out of the can, and you're like, delicious. Oh, with meatballs too. I'm just like
delicious. Fucking
I can smell it.
Canned mac and cheese, or like beef and mac. Yeah.
I cannot.
This is the strangest tangent ever, but so good. I'm very happy. I'm very happy we went down this road.
Good God. Oh, you're a gross fucker. That's what I have to say about that. I can see you eating manwich. I'm not into it.
Tyler, dance aerobics is sometimes considered the first console rhythm game.
That's a good answer. Good answer.
Barring that.
All right. Parappa, obviously very important.
It's Parappa asterisk, right? Like, do you consider? Because I think there's some debates.
I'm going to say Parappa is the Sim City, and Dance Aerobics is more of the Utopia. Like, yes, this has elements of the genre, but it's not the thing
back to Utopia.
I love early history stuff. It's so good. The Parappa toaster.
Maybe Dance Aerobics. That's.
I mean, I opened a Dance Aerobics. I destroyed history. I opened a sealed one of those.
That's right, because collecting sealed games is all about historical preservation. Don't let anyone ever tell you different.
That's what it is.
Oh, yeah.
The Parappa toaster, guys, by the way, MSRP was $100 in 1999, and now it is.
Oh, it wasn't a promo. It was like actual like
you went to a toy store and bought it for $100. And also, it prints Parappa's face onto the toast.
Huh. I'm into it.
Sure. It's also like the ugliest thing ever because it's bright orange. Like, what are you gonna do with? You can't keep this in your kitchen. All right. Well, I learned something. Thank you for telling me about that, Johnny.
You're welcome. I'm still trying not to vomit. I've got my head between my legs.
There are 3 Parappa toasters up in box. 3 of them on eBay right now. You can buy.
That's going to be the takeaway. Add us and show us your Parappa toasters.
That's right. Oh, but you know what? These are all Japan listings, so it's probably the same fucking toaster.
Oh, that's yeah. If they're the same picture, then it's just someone trying to flip them. Why is this a thing, Japan? Why do everyone there try to do this?
So all right, you're really not into toast at all? You just don't like toast?
Who? Me?
Tyler.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm just not a big bread guy. I don't buy bread. I don't know. What do I use bread for?
What?
I don't buy bread.
You've said a lot of confusing things to me over the years,
weird
but
shit.
This might be the most... What do you do with bread? What are you, a fucking Martian?
What? I don't need bread. What do I need bread? I don't eat like sandwiches. I have other stuff.
You don't eat sandwiches? What?
All right. I'm you know what? I'm DMing Ada right now. I need to.
What? I'll have some peanut butter straight from the jar, but I don't need to like spread it on a sandwich to enjoy it. Tyler, I mean, why add carbs to my already unhealthy habit?
Sure, but you don't like sandwiches?
I mean, sandwiches don't really... They take some work to make. It is like, it takes at least 1 minute to make a sandwich, and I'm more of a Stefan, like, I need to eat something right now. Someone give me a cheese stick I can roll up in salami. And it feels like a sad meal. It's like, no one... Like, if I just made a sandwich with my shitty bread and my shitty cold cuts that I got...
That's just a meal, Tyler. The sadness you feel is that thing that's inside of you.
I mean, if I'm going to Jersey Mike's and I'm getting like a 12-inch sub that's loaded up with some Italian meats, yeah, that's a fucking sandwich. But the like going to get like some Wonder Bread,
Tyler, they happen to be on bread.
Yeah.
I messaged Ada and I'm like, hey, Tyler's telling us he doesn't buy or eat bread. Please confirm.
we get naan sometimes, and we'll eat that with dinner if we're having like
naan is a bread.
Yeah.
So
it's not like a loaf.
Like I said, there's a lot of different breads from the world.
Oh my god,
it's delicious.
All right, so we agree. I'm a normal person, so we can. So this is not one of Tyler's oddities. He just buys a lesser amount of a different kind of bread than you.
Nope, this is still an oddity.
I'm gonna put you under glass and study you one day. You were so weird.
I followed that up with also, what the hell is wrong with your husband?
All right. Okay, Tyler, I don't even know where we are anymore. It's Stefan's turn. Stefan, tell us about one of your games. Tyler is so weird. Stefan's making me puke, and Tyler's like, bread is whatever.
Whoa, okay,
and I just don't understand.
Stefan's been eating like Huel and garbage like that. It's like not even food.
I think that's gross. That is not what humans do.
And I only thought of that because I was thinking, what do I eat for lunch? And I'm like, oh, sometimes I have Huel too.
Yeah. I am enjoying
Soylent Green is delicious.
Man, that Soylent 1.2 was really good. Like, then the Soylent 1.3, I think they ruined it, and then I found Huel eventually, and that was better, right?
Gross. Tyler, like, you should not look at... You're the weirdos who are like, what's his face? You're just like, food is just fuel. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm just trying to survive till the next day. Who cares what it tastes like? Johnny. This is just things to process for my brain to keep running. Get out of here, you weirdos.
I was just looking at my historical conversations with Ada. It consists 100% of asking her what the fuck is wrong with Tyler. We don't talk about anything else. Anyway. Hey, let's talk about Mech Assault, Johnny's favorite game.
Whoa. What? An Xbox exclusive? Only on the Xbox?
That's right.
Does that make it collectible, Tyler?
So I all joking aside, I really like this game. Even if it wasn't, it's just like a really competent mech game with a controller, which sometimes is kind of difficult to do. Recently, they just put out Mech Warrior 5 Mercenaries on console, which is a PC port, and it translation to controller not the best. But Mech Assault, designed from the ground up to be a console mech game. And I think it's a really solid game, even if you're like not a mech fan. Just like it controls well, it's got a reasonably compelling story, and it's some good solid arcade third person or third robot perspective fun. I really enjoy it, and it's like $5, not much. And to Tyler's point, it is a console exclusive on the Xbox.
One of the almost none. Everyone's like, man, Xbox has some great exclusives, and they're wrong when they say that. But Mech Assault is...
Yeah, because Tyler's like, it's on the PC!
Oh, it is on the PC, and it's better. If Mech Assault was on the PC, I would be shitting all over this one, but I definitely played a bunch of Mech Assault back in the day. I do think it's a good game.
It's good!
It is a better game than Steel Battalion. I will, as the biggest Steel Battalion fan here, I will stand by that.
Yeah. So the only true Xbox exclusives that remain are they Mech Assault and Buffy?
Yeah, that's it. No, is Buffy an exclusive? All right, we'll count it.
The first one was.
Yeah.
Second one, no, right? I think I'm right.
No, second one, no. Chaos Bleeds is on multiple systems.
The original Forza Motorsport is an exclusive.
Okay.
What's that? There's that extreme sports game that it's like a fake made up sport, like Death Ball or something like that. I literally bought this game. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Okay. I was just curious. All
right. You could also use Mech Assault to soft mod your Xbox. If it was 2004, that would be some interesting knowledge, I guess.
Sweet. All right.
Yeah, good. You don't have
Mech Assault.
It's just good. It's just a good game. Go play it.
Yeah, cool. Mech Assault. Hey, woo. Yeah, I hate Mech Assault.
I'm just trying to stay on top, except make Johnny vomit.
Yeah. I feel pretty vomity. Hey, here's one for you. Do you want to hear one from the PS3?
I mean, I guess we're doing this podcast, so.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, have you guys heard of Beyond Two Souls?
Nope.
It's
from that studio that did that game.
Yeah, it's the one that caused controversy when Elliot Page was Ellen Page, and they had they basically designed her nude a little bit, and there was some backlash about that.
That sounds like the guy who got caught. He was like, "Yeah, we designed her nude a little bit."
Little bit.
What does a little bit mean there, Johnny?
Look, I don't know the exact situation, so I don't want to make any bold claims, which is why I'm parsing it down to I don't know if it was part of happened. They designed character models and it was based on their image. So, they composite down. I don't know if it was they could just composite it down to no clothes, or if it was they got weird and, really animated some nude stuff on the side. I don't know what it is, and I don't want to make a false claim. But there was some controversy over the modeling of Elliot Page, then Ellen Page, and not being completely clothed. All right, that's
is that
all
why we're buying this one?
One, it's an exclusive to the PS3, right?
I mean, I'm gonna go buy one
in America. There was a steelbook, but this is the regular edition. You can get for under $10. It's perfectly acceptable, playable, decent game. I enjoyed it, so you can check it out. These aren't all super bangers. It's under $10, and you have to have, if we're giving it some reason, some gravitas, the fact that there was any controversy around this, a reason for people to talk about this game and reference it in the future. When it's past any meaningful amount of time and relevance, there are going to be things that reference this moment. So yeah, it's a perfectly good reason to collect this game.
All right. I am That is indeed an explanation. I will remind you, the title of this episode is going to be 10 out of 10 games you can get for $10. So that did not sound like a ringing endorsement to me.
Yeah, I think it's a good game you can play. It used to be exclusive to PS3. I think in Japan or something they made like a 2-pack with Heavy Rain, another one you could go get. Like, it's a good game. Like what do you want? It's a pretty good game that's unique, and it had some controversy around it. What more do you need?
So I read into this a little bit. So it's basically there's a shower scene in which you would need to free cam, right? So like you would need to be able to access debug somehow, either with a debug build or perhaps a test rig. I'm not 100% sure, but anyway, there is a QA menu in which you can unlock the camera and free cam to then see the model that they use in that shower scene, and apparently the actor was modeled fully. So that's that.
So if you have to hack a game to generate controversy, then there is no controversy.
I would like to point you at the hot coffee mod.
It's the most ridiculous thing. It's like giving a basic programming program an AO rating. It's like, well, if you type in the right things, you can make a porn program. Like,
I don't necessarily agree with it, but I mean, if I was in that situation and suddenly people, especially teenagers, were being told how to access and look at my nude body, I might feel uncomfortable about that. And I think it's reasonable for someone to be upset about that. But I also think, like, did it have to be in there? And then also at the same time, it's like, well, yeah, you have to do a lot of work to get to this point. But also, if you had to do this much work, then why is it in there? We know why the hot coffee mod was in there, because they wanted it in there.
It's true. And they bitched out and didn't include it when they should have just done it because it's Grand Theft Auto.
Right. So then it wouldn't have been a controversy. The fact that they hid it made it weird. See, like, is this one of those things where they were hiding it and they made it weird? Anyways, yeah. So, and plus it's still an exclusive on the PS3. The only other way you can get it is on the PS4 as a double pack, like I said, with Heavy Rain. So that's not the same. So this is the one you want. It's a collectible game. Go get it.
WATA won't grade PS3 yet. Get it before the WATA rush, everybody.
I mean, they've already had the PS3 spike. Can you imagine what it's going to look like once WATA starts grading them, or CGC, or whoever the hell grades games now? I mean, you just wait till Trading Games starts grading these games, and we're going to be in trouble.
What? I mean, that's CGC, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just making a joke because he went over there. It's a joke. Move on. It's not a great joke.
Explainer for the people not keeping up. The guy who owns Trading Games.
Ring the bell
for CGC. Did he go to work for them, or is he like an advisor? Either way, he's involved.
He went as their head grader.
Oh, damn. I thought that was that other guy, but all right. Yes. Cool. Yeah. All right.
Jason Bassard from Trading Games.
That's right. I think he's their new finalizer. That's what that is.
Johnny, I've got one. Pretty obvious one here, but it is amazingly cheap. It is Call of Duty 4, the PC small box version.
Okay, so it being in the small box makes it collectible?
Well, there is no big box version, so...
Okay, well, hold on. So it's just the PC version of Call of Duty 4?
The first release would be the small box, but yes.
Okay, so just like you do to me, and that makes it collectible. Why? Do you want to remind yourself what the title of this episode is going to be?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's collectible because it's a historically important first-person shooter.
No, incorrect. There are no collectible small box PC games. Get out of here. We only care about big box.
See, that's why it's $10. It's fucking $10. Because
no one cares.
Around like 2003-ish, big boxes just kind of stopped being a thing, and they switched to the small box PC games. And for whatever reason, this has always been the case. PC collectors do not want fucking small box PC games, no matter how good they are. Call of Duty 4 being the prime example. People do not want this game because it's in a small box. Big box Call of Duty, That's some hot shit. Big box Call of Duty 2, something that came out in the 2000s. That is some really hot shit. Call of Duty 4 small box, no one cares. Obviously, a game that, oh man, what? It both had like a really nice, what's the word I'm looking for, Johnny? It felt really nice to play, and then it also had the multiplayer element, which made the console people go absolutely nuts. It's the first game I could think of that had an absolutely insane single player and absolutely insane multiplayer. It's just such a good game all around. First two Call of Duty games I only think about for single player. Did Call of Duty 2 even have multiplayer? If it did, I did not play it at all. You're the Call of Duty expert on the show, Johnny.
I'm not the Call. I didn't start playing till Modern Warfare, so.
This is Modern Warfare. Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare.
Oh. Okay. Did Modern Warfare have a campaign? Yes.
That wasn't my question. I don't remember my question anymore. Anyway.
You said Call of Duty 2, does it have a campaign? And I said,
no, that's asked if Call of Duty 2 had multiplayer. Oh, you didn't play that one. Never mind. My question had a bad premise.
That's why my response was, I didn't start playing till and then you're like, this is Modern Warfare. And I was like, what the fuck? What just happened? And then you're like, Johnny, you're giving me a bad answer. And I'm like, well, you know, when they say there's no bad questions or stupid questions, incorrect.
All right, Johnny. So this game, it's $5 on Xbox 360. There's a billion of them. There always will be a billion. The small box PC game, I mean, it's a common game. There are much less of them out there for PC. And Call of Duty is a PC franchise. It just is. Fucking Infinity Ward made this game, who also made Call of Duty 1 and 2.
And the debate reigns. Should Infinity Ward keep making Call of Duties? No, they're not as good as Treyarch. Get out of here.
I mean, I
think there's another studio.
The thing with, like, after, like, 2 decades, like, how many people obviously, like, still work at the same studio? Like, Stefan has moved jobs so many times, and I only buy games that were made by Stefan Reese while he worked at that particular studio. So
that's a safe bet. I mean, if you're looking for investment grade collectibles, that's correct.
Like Infinity Ward, I'm sure still exists in name, but like, who cares? What are they making at this point? Tell me about modern games.
I'm sure like long tenured employees have been there 5 years.
Right.
Turnover in software is high, guys. So also being loyal to companies like that is weird. Just be happy when you find a good game.
All right. I just wanted to bring that up. There's a lot of small box PC games in that same boat, but Call of Duty 4.
Yeah, they're going to stay in that
best
boat.
Keep them in that boat. It'll be a $10 game to celebrate forever.
Okay, Stefan, do you have any more for us?
I do. I have 2 more.
Okay. Give us one of them.
Warhawk for the PS1.
Okay.
All right, Johnny, what do you got? What's your last one?
Wake me up.
Yeah. Wait, let's just stonewall him like you guys did with me in Utopia. Just no one say anything.
No, but this is like a clever callback to years ago in this podcast. Everyone knows.
I mean, I don't hate Utopia. I nothing Utopia.
I nothing Warhawk.
Look, but Warhawk for the PS1, I've said it many times, is one of my favorite games for the PS1. It was an early long box game that I loved as a kid. So just being able to put one of my like favorite games, my guilty pleasures, on this list, it's good stuff. Third person shooter, I guess. But you're in a plane and you're blowing shit up. And there's the awesome live action cutscenes that are not actually awesome. They're just but they're great. You should watch them. At least YouTube the cutscenes if you're not going to do anything else with Warhawk. But it's real cheap, and cheap long box games aren't really a thing. So there you go. You want a cheap long box game?
The game must be so good for it to be a long box and yet still $10.
Yeah, I mean it's not even more expensive than Tecmo World Golf. Like, how good could it be?
No, what's amazing is that sports games, I mean, it's a small market, but there's like this group of people that are like, sports games, first cover appearances, I'm going to spend, $7,000 on a sealed FIFA for the Genesis. So now, are we going to enter this market where like the least desirable games are these old 90s like war games? You know, like M1 Abrams and Gary Kitchen's battle tank and stuff like that?
Probably.
I'm gonna say new $10 pick. Is NHL 94 still under? Is that still around $10? Go get your NHL 94.
Wasn't NHL 94 the one that everybody had?
I mean, a lot of these games were the one everyone had. That's the one I think a lot of people remember specifically. You can go to NHL94.com and compete in online tournaments of the Sega CD version of NHL 94.
Do it.
No. You know what? If someone's been playing NHL 94 for 25 years, don't think I can beat them.
I don't know. You could do it.
Stefan, you got anything interesting else to say about Warhawk?
It's a great game. Everyone should play it.
Johnny, do you have another 10 out of 10 for $10?
I actually have an editor's note. Beyond Two Souls actually did make a PS4 appearance. I forgot that they released the Quantric Dreams bundle, which has Detroit, Heavy Rain, and Beyond Two Souls. That's a pretty good pickup for the...
Detroit's so good.
Dude, they're a pretty good game studio. They make some interesting games. And that's a perfectly good bundle to pick up full of great games. But it does mean that it's no longer like when it was the single version of the game is still exclusive to the PS3. If you want it anywhere else, though, you have to pick it up in a bundle. So
I mean, now that everything gets re-released, it gets so much weirder talking about exclusives because it used to be like, okay, this game was a thing in 2001 and now we've moved on to new games. And now it's like Titan Quest. That's a PC game. But then it's like, no, it's not. Titan Quest is on the Switch now for some reason. And it's like, that doesn't... It still feels like a PC game, but it's also on the Switch. It's weird talking about exclusives.
It's hard to boil it down to exclusives now, especially if the game was any good, then it probably wasn't going to remain exclusive, especially if it, like PlayStation just re-releasing their good games on the PS4 and like PS5. Just that trend. And I've said I'm kind of okay with that. So you can just expect any good game not to remain exclusive. It's going to be released somewhere. And then like a lot of games are exclusive, but not really because they're released as they're physically exclusive, but digitally you can get them places. It's just the day of like exclusives is going away. And I'm sure they will start digging in the well of all these old games that were exclusive. Like Buffy. I can't imagine that Buffy stays an exclusive. At some point, somebody's going to want to like more Buffy, and suddenly like limited run games in 20 years is going to be like, here's that Buffy 2-pack that you guys always wanted, now available on the Switch 2, on the Super Switch. That's just the world we live in.
We need a better way to deal with this, because the idea of like something gets re-released 20 years later and now it's no longer exclusive, like Shantae got re-released on like PS4 or something, but like it's a fucking Game Boy Color game. So I feel like, calling it non-exclusive, we need a better terminology, because I still think Shantae is a very interesting game for the reason that it is a Game Boy Color game and on essentially nothing else until it was ported 20 years later.
I mean, it was exclusive during its initial life cycle. Like, I don't know. There's got to be some way to capture that better.
Yeah.
I agree.
Coming soon on Collector's Quest, we're going to find a better way to categorize exclusives so we can separate Call of Duty 4 from Shantae.
Yep, because that's what we do on Collector's Quest. We get into these weird conversations and try to create better terminology, but that's actually good. I love that stuff.
We argue about the
that's
English
like
language.
My favorite. Yeah, I love it. You know me. You're such a prescriptivist. I'm not into it. Anyways, let's move on to my next game. What you were asking me for, and I was like, editor's note. Yeah. Hey guys, tell me if you've ever heard of this game. Stop me if you've heard of it. Okay.
Wait, if we stop you, are you not gonna talk about it anymore?
I promise to let that be true for me if I can let it be true for you.
Okay.
Right. Kingdom Hearts.
Stop.
Have heard. Yes.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that game really $10?
Yeah. First one. Printed into the ground, but they didn't really re-release the first one. They did all these weird compilations and other things to get it.
Yeah.
And it's Disney and Square and Final Fantasy, and the first print lives on the PlayStation, and you can get it for $10. If you don't have this in your collection, what are you doing?
Guys, if you remember a few years ago when all the PS1 RPGs were like pretty cheap, and now they are no longer that will probably happen to PS2 games. Probably not as much, but it will happen. PS2 RPGs will go up in price.
Yeah, I mean, it's Kingdom. It's like Final Fantasy and Disney. Like, what are you doing? Just go get out there and buy this game.
Yeah, I agree.
You don't need a lot of reasons. Just
what a soundtrack.
Please.
Even I like it. I don't even like RPGs, but Kingdom Hearts is pretty good.
There are a lot of variants. I believe, isn't there one with the slipcase and a gatefold cover? Is that the one that has the soundtrack? There's the like regular print. There's the greatest hits version.
Whoa, I'm sorry. The slipcase? I don't even know what you're talking about, Jenny.
I thought there was. I thought there was one that had like a gatefold cover. Maybe I'm dreaming of a thing that doesn't actually exist. Don't take that as
worrying
fact.
me because I feel like I should have that if it exists. The interesting variant for Kingdom Hearts that I know of is the Black Label Square Enix one. So when they switched over between Black Label and Greatest Hits, there was this small window where the Black Label copies didn't say Squaresoft, they said Square Enix on them.
Yep.
And those are pretty hard to find.
In addition to that being true for Final Fantasy X, or is that...
Final Fantasy X has the same exact variant.
Yep.
Okay. Just want to make sure you
maybe
misremembering.
I'm dreaming about this one, so don't take that to heart.
But that's another thing that we do often on the show is just send Tyler on these frantic fever dream chases for variants that don't exist. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, check your card. We claimed there was a thing that didn't actually exist.
Exactly.
Anyways, go buy that. And there are some people who differentiate between that, but you can definitely find people who didn't and get that. So look for the good one. Look for the Square Enix one, though it's not easy to find.
But is that one of those? Is it one of those things, Tyler? I'm mostly pointed at you. Is it one of those things where similar to like the Final Fantasy X variant, where like few enough people know about it that like if you like sift through enough listings, you might actually find it?
Nope. One, because we mentioned it on the show, and two, because I've seen Wata-graded copies of like sealed Square Enix Final Fantasy X, and they're asking like $14,000. So like the speculation market knows about this variant.
Boo.
Yep. It took me a couple months to find one, but I was looking back when they were less popular, I guess. I don't know.
If you guys are interested in a sealed one, it's a first print. Black Label. They say Black Label in this, like they know what they're talking about. They just like heard the terminology. Anyways, $1,900. So go get that now.
A steal.
Or you can just buy one of the other ones for like $8. Here's one that is not that variant, but $8. So that's shipped.
I thought PS2 games were expensive, and you're telling me that a PS2 classic is $8, Johnny? That seems...
Yeah, this guy's got it with a memory card in there too for $8.
Wow.
Yep.
We're truly living in the golden days, and we don't even realize it.
I know. There's so many good games you can buy for under $10. It's like we did an episode all about it.
All right, Johnny.
That's all I got.
I've got a last one here that is, I think, pretty interesting because it is one of my favorite games, and it has an amount of historic importance, but not as much. Braid for the PC, Johnny.
You mean that Xbox exclusive?
That Xbox Live Arcade game that probably cost like $10 because it was 2008, and we were like, man, this is a good game. It's $10.
Did you wind up watching the Indie Game, the movie, or whatever?
I didn't watch Indie Game, the movie. Even though I love Jonathan Blow, but I was told that he's a dick by someone. Was it Stefan that told me he's a dick?
Nope. I don't know who that is.
That was me, the creator of Braid.
Oh, was it you who told me he's a dick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, people did not like him. Yeah. And I know a few people who have interacted with him personally, and it was non-favorable experiences. He may have been having a bad day. Anything could have happened, but multiple instances, no positive reports.
All of his game design philosophies are so good, though, Johnny. I'm separating the art from the artist here.
Yeah, except he kind of knows it and talks about how smart he is, and now everyone else is.
He does. He's such an asshole. Oh man.
Yeah,
I've seen like his GDC talks and stuff. Oh,
he's very fond of his own ideas.
If you are a youngin' and you don't know what Braid is a puzzle platformer game where the puzzles are based around rewinding time. An example would be like there's an enemy that will move that isn't affected by time, and you have to jump and rewind time, and then that enemy keeps on moving while you're rewinding time, and you like do a precise jump off him to make a jump or something. I don't know. I can't describing Braid puzzles is probably hard.
No, it's
just watch a YouTube video.
It's Mario. It's Mario meets time puzzles. Is kind of what I like to describe it as.
Yes,
and it's so good. It was so good, and then that guy started talking about it, and it made me so much less interested in Braid. And then he started to explain like his big story and how people didn't get it. And now, like when he gets into his misunderstood artist bit, it's just like fuck out of here, man. Jesus Christ, I don't care. You made me enjoy your thing less. Congratulations. You're a true artist.
Just now. So you know, Braid is being remastered, and it's supposed to have the most extensive director's commentary of any game ever. So do you want to listen to him talk about how great his game is for hours, Johnny?
I have never been less interested in a game ever. And Braid, to me, is like a nearly perfect game.
It is so good.
It's like Braid is like a 9.8. In game world, like if I'm getting a reviewer, it's like so close to perfect. But then you hear the creator talk, you hear him talking. I'm like, yeah, it's like a 4.
So, just more about Braid. It doesn't overstay its welcome. I feel like it's like 5 or 6 hours long, and then every hour
that long even.
It might not even be that long. And then every once in a while, like the time mechanics just completely change, so it's not just like the same kind of puzzle every time. Which is something Jonathan Blow is super good at. The interesting thing about Braid for the PC is that Jonathan Blow, artistic weird guy, does not believe in physical media. So people have they've bothered him to make physical releases of things like Braid and The Witness. And he's been like, He says, like, people who collect video games are fucking idiots. They just put plastic on their shelves and destroy the earth. Why would I put out a physical release of my game? We live in the future of digital distribution where everything is amazing now. What's wrong with these people? He's very against physical releases. So there is no physical release of The Witness, which is a tragedy. And there's no Xbox release of Braid. But there's a Mumbo Jumbo, who's a PC publisher, who put out a budget release of Braid, and it's like the kind of game that you would find in a Walmart, and you can get them sealed for like $10-15 on eBay.
Yeah, but he did all these talks which got published, and they introduced physical media into the world. He did this movie which made a bunch of bad DVDs and sit in trash bins. He should have just let his game done all the talking for him. God, that fucking guy.
He is a fucking
Witness, a game I did not play, even though I heard great things about it, because he made it. That's how much I can't listen to this guy talk.
In a time where I was pretty not interested in modern games, The Witness was like my number one hyped game for like 2 straight years. I was so excited for that game.
I was very excited. And then like literally I'm like, oh man, this is going to be so good. And then like I hear more and more. I'm just like, I don't want this guy to have any of my monies.
So there's a lot.
Gentlemen.
Whoop. Is it time?
I was going to say, I would like to deliver my last game and then I have to bow out for the rest of the podcast.
Okay.
All right. Deliver it.
This one blew our minds while we were doing research for this episode.
John,
guys,
blow your mind.
The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess for the Wii is under $10.
That'll stay cheap forever.
Cases.
Yeah.
It won't stay cheap forever. Someone will buy out all of the Zelda games one day.
Yeah.
I can't believe this game is $10.
Yeah, like we just sat here going like checked multiple sources and like, yep, it's actually selling for $10. So that's a thing. I don't even know where to go with this, honestly.
Where to say there's a Zelda game that you can buy for under $10. If you don't have it.
Also, it's I don't care what Skyward Sword costs. Twilight Princess is one of the 10 out of 10 for $10 Zelda games. Not just like a bullshit Zelda game. And the Wii version's really good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is Skyward Sword garbage? Twilight Princess, great.
People are playing that Skyward Sword remake, and I see so many people like, I don't understand why people say this game is garbage. Like, maybe they fixed the controller the motion controls.
That
game has so many issues besides the controls. What's wrong with you people?
How about its 44-hour long tutorial and the way it obnoxiously interrupts you when you try to do anything? Or you're like, oh, I'm going to go to the surface world. And then it's like, I think I should talk to you right now and interrupt. You're just like, bitch, I just want to get to the bottom. Okay. So I can go do some shit. Please stop talking to me.
I mean, my favorite part of Skyward Sword is really the overworld, the blank space you fly to in between loading zones.
Yeah, it's like they took all of what was awful about Wind Waker, the sailing, and they're like, let's put that in the sky and make it more obnoxious. Cool. You know what? That could use more tutorials. How do we get more interrupting you playing the game and make it like terrible? Also, terrible sound effects, just like through the whole game.
The art design's so good, though, Johnny. Man, Skyward Sword's a beautiful game.
It is beautiful, but like that's what I'm saying. Like, don't interrupt me playing your beautiful game. Stop doing that. It's obnoxious. You're like, I'm just trying to play. And then, like, I'm telling you, the sound effect. Anytime Link takes any damage, it is so stupid. No. Hey, you're like, shut up.
That just means you should get good.
Worst sound.
Just don't take damage. Done.
Oh, just turn off the sound. Just eliminate an element of the game. Also, because the controls are so stupid and clunky, you are going to take damage.
That's fair. All right, boys. Enjoy your evening. Audience, enjoy your evening. I have a 6-year-old to get to bed, and I will see y'all around.
Real quick before you go, Stefan. Hey, what games did you buy? None?
I bought some board games. It was all board games.
No,
lots of board games, actually.
Bye.
Bye.
Johnny, I will point out for our audience, there are a ton of Wii variants of Twilight Princess. You want to be looking at the UPC on the back for the 5 digits, and you want the 00000 variant if you want that hot first print, which cannot be rare by any stretch of the imagination. Maybe sealed, who knows? Just because I was there when the Wii came out, Johnny, and holy crap, did everybody buy Zelda.
Yeah, I'm going to say like the rarest one is probably the Nintendo Select one. Like and it's got different, like that stupid, ugly Select stuff over it. Even though I think the Nintendo Select stuff on the Wii probably like visually it's a lot better than a lot of Nintendo's value titles. Because they really did.
I hate it.
Like the GameCube ones being the worst.
I think I would take the gaudy yellow over the red, trying to dress it up. Just like the Nintendo Selects, it feels like it's a badge of honor, but it's the budget label. It's weird. I don't know. I don't like it. They make the box art smaller too, right?
They do. It does the PC thing. Like, hey, you like that image? Well, I put it in a tiny box for you. You're like, well, you could have just left it the same size. It looked really nice. Yeah, but you liked it so much, I made it smaller.
I think the SNES thing is fine. It is uglier, clearly uglier, but it gets the point across. And if you glanced at a game, you wouldn't immediately be like, oh my God, what is this horrible creation in front of me?
You know, see, I like the badge on the Super Nintendo ones. The ones that are on the side of the boxes, because then when you have the side out, like it looks like consistent and nice together.
Yeah, I mean, they were thinking about you when they did that. They were like, oh yeah, someone's going to want to collect that full Player's Choice set one day.
Yeah, it looks good all together.
You know what Nintendo wasn't thinking? That someone would want to collect the full Switch set, because the sides of those cases are just total mismatch. I mean,
they do put a little ribbon on the side too on that one to let you know that you've got a.
Oh, that you're a poor person. Man, they really just gotta stick it to you. No, it's not me doing it. They're the ones that are like, oh, you're buying Nintendo Selects, you're poor. Let's make sure to put that on your spine. So anyone visiting your house knows you bought Twilight Princess, the Nintendo Selects version.
Or maybe they're like, man, this system has been around for 5 years now, and that game we no longer print. Let's like reprint it so these new people who came into the market have something that they can play too. Like there was these great games we aren't selling anymore. Let's re-release them. But hey, they were out there for so long. They could have bought a used copy, but they didn't. So let's cut them a discount.
Yeah,
Tyler's like, no,
call it the Game of the Year edition. That is equally non-desirable to collectors, but it seems like a better deal and doesn't totally ruin your game.
Well, I think the Game of the Year convention was, I think that convention came out after that.
Okay.
Or maybe, I guess, concurrently. Anyways.
I mean, Nintendo has never made a Game of the Year edition of anything, have they? They don't need the accolades of others. They know they're the best.
Yeah, that's true.
They made Pikmin 3.
They sure did. And a few other games too. But yeah, let's go with Pikmin 3 as our example. All right. What's your last one? Or was Braid your
last one? That was Braid. Go get your PC Braid, the only physical release of any Jonathan Blow game probably ever. And the remastered one's coming out, so get it before then.
I have so many things I could talk about. There's so many games that you can go get. But like I didn't want to like completely just do the Johnny thing. So let's talk about a game that no one's ever heard of. Okay?
Okay.
Never heard of this game. Are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm waiting for it.
Okay, I'm not sure which one I should say. I'm debating, so I'm stalling.
I hope it's Resident Evil 5. I love that game.
It is Resident Evil 5 and 6 on the PS3 where they came out.
Are you not joking?
I'm not joking.
Oh, I'm in. Resident Evil 5 is so much fun. I've never played 6. I don't know anything about 6.
You can get 5 and 6, and you should, for under $10 now on the PS3. Yes, they've been re-released into hell, but these are the first prints. If history has taught us nothing about the games, go get the first prints. And just more games like this that we could just talk about that are in the same vein. Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. Like, what are you doing? BioShock, Fallout 3, Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City. Just, there's so many Lego games. There's so many, like Final Fantasy 12. Just, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Go buy these now.
Well, just
says Johnny to an audience of people who have all of these games.
That's what I'm saying. But if you don't, I'm saying if you've been like, I didn't really love that game, and you're a collector, right? There are plenty of games out there. I'm like, I wasn't like super into that, so maybe I'm not going to buy it. But like, I don't love Fallout 3, but I'm going to make sure I have the first print of Fallout 3. You know, Modern Warfare 2. You may not be a COD person, but go get those because they're easy to get right now. Just go get them all. Like, if you find these for like $5 to $7, Uncharted, everyone should have Uncharted. It's just one of the best.
Uncharted 2, you want the one that says 5 out of 5 stars in the bottom center of the case. That's the first print of one of the greatest games that has ever graced this earth.
But the Game of the Year edition has different art, which I like better. So good.
I thought about collecting all the Uncharted 2 variants, but like you start looking at it and there's like 20 of them. It's too much.
I think collecting all of them, but you could like collect the major, like getting the Game of the Year edition, which has clearly different cover art, I think is a worthy one to have.
They've got like multiple cardboard slipcover versions of Uncharted 2.
So good. Uncharted 2 is so good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. As we talked about last time. Yeah, I guess I bought that Skyrim because it was $5 on Xbox. Yeah, go buy your Skyrim if you don't have it. This is like one of the ones where you're like, well, it's $5 and I only have the Xbox. I might as well pick up the PlayStation version. That's the kind of stuff that this is. There's just a lot of
Skyrim come with that higher quality map. In the top left of the back of the box, there'll be a little black badge that says something. That's how you find a first print of Skyrim.
There you go. Anyway,
that's on PC.
That's mine.
Xbox.
I talked about way more than 5, and you keep calling this a 10 for 10, but we only did 5 each. I mean, we definitely did more than 5. But...
No, it was 10 out of 10s, like perfect games for $10.
Oh,
it was a good episode idea that we kind of followed, almost not.
I mean, Bubsy's definitely a 10 out of 10.
That was like a really interesting one. Like if I was rating the best one, like Bubsy, the sticker variant, because it's linked to that court case. That's so cool. I think that's a cool one.
I'm glad you enjoyed that. I'm glad I did something for you.
Yes.
All right, Tyler. Since I'm talking to the only guy on this show, besides myself who buys games, what'd you buy? Oh no, shit, we almost did it. We almost forgot our collector's question. Do you have a collector's question for us?
Okay. I've got a collector's question. If you want to ask the podcast the thing, you could join our Patreon at patreon.com/collectorsquest and give us money to join our Discord, and then you can ask a question in the Discord channel, and we'll get to it eventually. We're still in questions from early September. We're getting around to it. Zeno asks, if you could go back in time, what would you buy and how? How would you acquire Stadium Events or Outback Joey, for example?
With money?
Yeah, I mean, I guess how far back in time am I going? Like, if I'm going back to...
Are we doing this thing where, like, we're right now, we go back in time and we live in this credit card world and our new money won't be there. So we have to devise a way in which to get enough money to buy these things and then put in a locked box and then go back to the future and then collect our treasure? Like, what is that what we're doing here?
I mean, famously, Stadium Events was 29 cents in a certain Funko-Land sales sheet. But also, like, with the knowledge I have now, I'm not buying Stadium Events and Outback Joey. I'd go to Toys R Us and go get a Super Mario Brothers.
Really? That's what you would do?
Right? What would you do if I was doing it just for the monetary
I would put money in
gain?
Apple.
What?
I would put money in Apple.
Put everything in Apple. Yeah, obviously, that is a much better idea than assuming you could keep a Super Mario Brothers in mint condition for 40 years or whatever.
Yeah, so if you're asking me what game that I didn't acquire that I would port from the past to now, I mean, it would be like, if I could go back, like, I have this really interesting thing. I like, going back in the past would be the worst thing that ever happened to me. I don't want to go back in the past. I don't want to change anything. I wouldn't want to mess anything up. I like my life very much and I wouldn't want anything to change. And that includes all the things I missed out on. Those moments are important. And I think people forget that the things you miss out on help shape you and create the person you are now. So if you like yourself, and if you don't, you should learn to and accept the things that you missed. But yeah, those moments create part of the infrastructure of yourself, and your sense of self. So I wouldn't want to go around and muck around with that. If I could just take one archaic item from the past, sure. I mean, I would take a Stadium Events because I have a Mario. Like, it's hard because if it's just monetary value, it's just like, why am I not betting on a World Series or, and then taking all like a minor bet in the World Series, nothing so incriminating, but to get enough money that I can put a really heavy investment into any of these great things, these biopharmaceutical companies and Apple and all these other tech companies that are still around, or just play the long game and, put money in a bank account, in 1908 and then let it collect interest and like see what compound interest does over 100 years and just let your mind be blown. There's, it's hard to say like that. Like if I could go back in the past, there's so many more things. I would want to see things that people don't have good answers to. That's what I'd be going back. I'm like, oh, when was this actually released? That's the kind of stupid shit I would be doing with a time machine.
Dumbest shit you could do with your time.
Yeah,
you still have limited time. Your lifespan is still gonna run out, and you're gonna be like, I wonder, when did the Mazin Saga come out on the Sega Genesis? We don't have an exact release date for that.
But that's the kind of stuff I'm interested in. Like, that's the stuff that's unknowable, right? Like, you just don't have a good answer or stuff people fight about. It's like, or any of the big mysteries. Like, I'd be there at the car crash when, Marilyn Monroe died and Kennedy, like that crash. I'd want to see exactly what happened. Be on the grass,
the fuck?
That's the time machine. If you give me a time machine, I'm going to go do stuff that it's not for my monetary value. It's going to be for my knowledge. I want to know things.
Okay. That's a great sentiment, Zeno. I'm telling you, I would want to be idle rich. 100% I want to be idle rich. I'm buying Apple, Amazon, and Bitcoin. But the things I would actually buy, so, all right, I'll buy Super Mario Brothers and all the expensive games and whatever. But and I wouldn't go for the rare stuff. I'll go for the stuff that's like the most common stuff. That's like, oh my god, Mario Kart 64 is $20,000 now. But baggy PC games, just old PC games in general, is stuff I've been trying to find now.
Mystery House, let's do it.
The stuff like Mystery House. There are these PC collectors, and they literally have fucking everything. And there's like maybe some scraps for the rest of us to fight over. And it's crazy. You'll like the Mystery House collector will have 12 different versions of Mystery House. and one like bad variant of Mystery House comes up, and there's like a dog pile of people trying to spend thousands of dollars to get that one bad variant of it. There's just stuff that you can't get even if you have money. So I would do better about collecting the rare computer stuff earlier, because now I just can't find it. Okay. Benny G asks, do you guys care about wireless controllers / extensions for your systems, or do you play near the TV? Sitting on the ground or carpet in front of the TV makes me feel better about life.
I mean, I can see why he's like that from a nostalgia perspective, but no, man. Like, if I have a nice wireless controller, please give me. I'm old and I'm infirmed. My back is bad. I don't want to sit on the floor. No, God, no. I still have friends who do it, and controller extensions and wireless controllers all day for me.
I've recently switched my main PC controller to the latest Xbox controller. So now it uses AA battery. It might not be the latest Xbox controller, whatever it's called, but it uses AA batteries still. And now my batteries run out. I'm always in the middle of some game and I always die, and it frustrates the hell out of me because I'm so used to wired controllers. I hate it, Johnny. But it's still probably convenient enough that I wouldn't switch back to wired. As far as the older stuff, I always use controller extensions. I'll also sit very close to the TV, but I mean, usually the built-in cables are so goddamn short. Like, you're supposed to basically be sitting in front of the console pulled out in your living room. And I like having everything nicely packed away on like a media console. So I Fourscore is the best NES accessory that was ever made because it's a first-party controller extension.
Just like just the scenes of like my Nintendo pulled all the way out, the wires fully extended and taut, and the controller cord taut as like, and I'm only 8 feet away from the TV.
Right. Like, I just want to lean back in my recliner, Johnny. If I'm playing games, I'm being lazy.
Yep. Also, with a dog and kids and all that, and like, how many times in your life did like you lose progress and like something that was harder, you did something amazing, and it was just wiped out because someone kicked the cord, and the cords were so taut they were definitely going to pop out because there was no slack? No, I don't need that in my life.
Don't want to deal with that.
Yep.
All right, Johnny.
Let's do it. Playing?
What are you buying? What are you playing?
What am I buying? Man, what am I buying right now? I'm buying so much dumb stuff. What are you buying? I'm gonna hold on. I have to pull it up. I apologize. I have bought a bunch of dumb stuff, but we also talked not so long ago about stuff we bought. I got a Marvel Ultimate Alliance with a code.
Oh, so you were just trying to hype it up this podcast is what you're telling me.
No, I'm just kidding. I bought Little Nemo, The Continuing Adventures of Little Nemo for the Game Boy Advance. Are you excited?
Wait, is that a sequel to the NES game?
No, it's a sequel to the GBA game, which I didn't realize existed, and I didn't have on my list correctly. I was just like, there's Little Nemo. I'm like, wait a minute. This cover is not exactly the same. I'm like, what? This is a different game. And they both say Little Nemo on it. And then if you look in some small text, it says The Continuing Adventure. So I was like, oh man, I got to buy Little Nemo. So yeah, I bought The Continuing Adventures of Little Nemo because, I'm on that Disney hype train, buy all the Disney games always. And then I bought from, and I don't want to get his name wrong. Let me go to Instagram and make sure I get his name right. Because he's got a sales page and people should check it out. And he was nice and he gave me some deals. So, OOBGARM.
Oobgarm.
And he's got okay.
Is it not pronounced Oobgarm? Because I always pronounce it in my head Oobgarm.
I don't know what it is. I say it Oobgarm. So you say Oobgarm, I say Oob. I don't know what is right. You're probably right. I'm probably wrong. Anyways, he's got a claim sale page. You should check him out. I bought some DS games from him, some 3DS games. Like you guys are gonna really enjoy Shinobi for the 3DS. What a banger, right?
Shinobi for the 3. Like, I can't even imagine what that is because it's obviously not a port of the arcade game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just one of these 3DS games. I bought Final Fight 1 for the GBA, just the cart, because I had the box and manual and I realized I didn't have the cart. So that was cool. I picked that up. I picked up the cart. I'm like, yes, this is now complete. And the thing I really bought from him, like that I spent the money on, was the Yokai Watch games. I bought almost all of them. I'm missing one now, which he had, but I thought I had it and then I didn't and it sold. So I'm missing one Yokai Watch game for the 3DS because I was just like, these games are annoying and they're kind of expensive. I'm just going to get them out of the way. And the coolest thing he gave me is he had the Back to the Bully special edition for PS2, the big box. It's like shaped like a locker. He had that and I don't have it. And he sent it to me and that was totally awesome. Just like he just threw that in a little bonus gift for me because he likes the podcast. So thank you very much for that. I was so excited to see that. I was like, oh man, this is so much better. My game is so much better now that it's got this little back piece on it. So
you're the best, Oobgarm.
Yep. What am I playing? Hey, still playing some Last of Us 2, but Metroid this weekend, Tyler?
Oh. All right, yeah, remind me.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. So, yeah, that's what I'm buying. That's what I'm playing.
John, I don't know if I've played anything. I played Pogo Stuck, but no one cares or knows what that is. Do you know what Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy is?
No.
All right, you're too old for these games, Johnny. It's a very hard platformer where it's a single world that's just one level and the object is to get to the end, but the controls are intentionally just like super weird and bad. And the kids love it. This was a big streaming thing like a couple years ago. People loved watching people try to beat this game. Anyway, I played one of those games. That's all I could think of that I played. What I got, though, Johnny, I got a Pong C100 console.
You've been posting some obscure stuff on your
I've
Instagram.
been posting good stuff on the Instagram.
Good stuff. It is good stuff. Stuff you don't see every day. I love it.
So the first Atari home Pong is the C100. It sold like over 1 million. There's 1 billion of them out there. Really hard to find one in nice shape. The cardboard is just super flimsy and the console is bigger and heavier than it looks. Unfortunately, not a first print, which I figured out what a first print Pong console was at some point. There's like styrofoam variants, packaging variants, serial number variants, because they made 1 million of them. So there's obviously a lot of variants. I just wanted to get one in nice shape. Now that I have one in nice shape, I will worry about finding a first print, which I didn't write down, so I have to figure out what it is again. I got the original. What?
I said that sounds like a mistake.
That sounds like something that I would do. I got the original Age of Empires and Age of Empires 2. I was a Command and Conquer person in the 90s. I don't know anything about Age of Empires, but I feel like those are important games I should have. And Johnny, I got a first print of Castle Wolfenstein for the Apple II. Which,
yeah, that one looked pretty sweet.
That is pretty sweet, I think.
I thought so too. I agree.
I don't know the history of stealth games, so like the back of a napkin history of stealth games is like Castle Wolfenstein, then Metal Gear. So it's probably not the first game with stealth mechanics, but it's the first popular one with stealth mechanics. The first print is on the Apple II, and it comes with an orange manual in a baggie. Afterwards, I believe there was a purple manual in a baggie. Then there's a blue manual for the Atari 400 that comes in a baggie, and then they switched over to boxed versions.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was expensive. I was the only bidder, but when I see something like this now, I'm just like, forget it. I know not everything is going to go up forever, but I have never regretted buying something instead of trying to wait for a price to come down. So that's just YOLOing it.
Just YOLO everything.
I mean, pretty much. Also for the children out there, Castle Wolfenstein is a different game from Wolfenstein 3D. Something I didn't know until like maybe the past couple of years. I didn't think that Castle Wolfenstein and Wolfenstein 3D were related. I thought that id Software just cribbed the name Wolfenstein, but apparently the IP transferred over to them somehow. So Wolfenstein 3D is an actual sequel to Castle Wolfenstein, which I honestly had no idea. I thought they just stole it.
Huh.
Yep.
Yeah, I would have imagined they were connected, but I don't have any knowledge of any of it. So
that you want to play? Okay, so instead of Metroid, you want to play some Castle Wolfenstein? I don't think it's very long.
No. I've actually played Castle Wolfenstein on the PC. I played it at an internet cafe where you could play. There was people who were like, there was like a LAN setup for that, and that was one of the games you could go play. And I was like, that looks kind of like fun. And then, mind you, I'm not very good with the mouse, especially back then, and got destroyed, and it wasn't any fun, and I wasted like $8. So, yeah, that was...
What are you... This is like an Apple II game. It's a 2D top-down
is that now... Which one... which one am I thinking of? Isn't there one that's
like... It might be Wolfenstein 3D, but I don't think most people played that 3D. With a mouse.
Huh.
Was it Return to Castle Wolfenstein?
Maybe. I was pretty sure it was a Wolfenstein. It wasn't Doom. I know it wasn't Doom. What am I thinking of then? I don't know.
Wolfenstein Enemy Territory?
Delete all of that. You know what? I don't want to
delete everything you just all that.
Said. Johnny doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. I don't want to play Castle Wolfenstein, but if you want to put yourself on video, I will watch you play Castle Wolfenstein.
No, that's weird. I'm not putting myself on video for you, John.
Why?
That's weird. You know what? I'll just play Metroid with you. And I think I'm going to start Ultima 4. Because I've been buying a lot of Ultima games, and it feels weird that I buy all these games and I've only played 2 of them in the series, so I want to play more.
Okay. Just look, if you can justify getting that Ultima 6 if you just play it.
All right, I already did. We'll talk about it next week when it arrives.
Okay. I'm glad we get to talk about it. All right, that's it. We did it. I think we did the show.
Hooray! It's over.
You already mentioned the Patreon. Hey, what you missed out on the Patreon is we had a little gift exchange. That's going to be exciting. We do some fun things over there. Go check that out. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, I don't have anything else. You got anything else? You want to tell us just where people can find you?
I'm on the video game stage and Instagram. I'm DefaultGen, DefaultGen.
Yeah, and you can find me on Instagram and our Patreon. And it's either Johnny or Johnny_Iuchi. That's how you can find me. Thanks so much for listening. We'll catch you next time. Bye!
That is our show. Errata for this week. I said Altair 8080. The actual microcomputer's name is the Altair 8800. If you caught that, you can stop listening to Collector's Quest. We will never have anything to teach you. Thank you to 8-Bit for our amazing intro music. 8-Bit has a new album out, The Time Shift Paradox. It's an electronic chiptune album. I am really bad at describing music. He describes it as what happens when a soldier from 2057 and an Apache warrior from 7085 collide. Just go listen to it for yourself on 8bit.bandcamp.com. And thank you to our patrons, Richard Patron number 1 Bowden, Canadian Variant Alert Chris Glidden, Nintendo World Champion Daniel Jacksvik, High-End Collector Andrew Brim, 50 Hertz is good enough for me Andre, Ben Parker, a bad enough dude to rescue the president, Video games were meant to be slabbed. Brandon Ackley, Brian Gupta, and Pocky and Rocky with Becky, Mint Condition, Brian J. Mora, the Strictly Limited Super Rare Bruno, Fat Cat Collector Chris Jackson, Chris S&K, Too Many NES Accessories Mrozek, Johnny's GBA Hookup, Coffee with Mr. Saturn, Playing with Power Connor Strange, The Last Game You Need for the Set, Corey O'Brien, Unpunched Hang Tab, Dustin Beagle, He Has Returned to Judge This City, Eric Addison, Man of Nintendo in the World of Nintendo, Funky Brewsta, The Actual Shinobi, Jasonic the Kid, Jeff the Game Boy Ferris, Red Pyramid Thing, Jonathan Shados, the Nintendo Tape Archivist, Joseph Leo. I forgot you for like 1 or 2 weeks. I'm sorry. Patreon relationship manager is just not good if you want to give nicknames to people. I keep track of all this crap separately. Anyway, that's the Fleo on Instagram. Super cool Nintendo dude who knows everything. Not really. We have frequent conversations about the despair that we will never know everything about Nintendo games. But it won't stop us from trying. Lance Lord Hardstyle Z, The Degenerate, Matt Fall, Mr. CIB, get your loose Genesis carts out of here! Funkoland employee, platform agnostic, the Famicom Box, retro game enthusiast, video game connoisseur who knows they're better than modern games, the Fuzzy, Sean, the Gamer Collective, the New Craft, who can beat Mega Man without the pause trick, previously unknown variant, Tim Walker, from the internet, Todd Fisher, can't put limits on collecting, VG Collectaholic, the Millennium, Will Joe, keeper of the Zelda variant, 0x Def Code, getting the full PS2 set because Stefan won't, all caps, What a 9.8, A++ Benji, the actually rare Bird Dog Gaming, Brandon Rogers, whose favorite episode is the wrestling episode, dropping the Mario 64 Penguin off the map, Brandon Chacker, still finding deals in 2021 somehow, Colton Murphy, a winner is him, David Green, Derek Lauer, who made me edit this show, Don Libby, the hero of time, actually understands the Zelda timeline, Jeff Pierce, he is Error, Jeff Russell, Jeremy Jarvis, here for the Pog Talk, Jim Jacobs, world record holder of Best Collection, Joe actually plays his game Champ Pity, video game art collector because video games are art, Justin Chichio, Lateral Movement, who's got a Donkey Kong kill screen coming up, Michael, posted in the Discord right now, Chiara Monty, Nick the Video Game Database Morgan, Homebrew Mastermind Divertov, the other guy who collects Korean releases, Peaceful Games, Dungeon Master Reed Stubenik, The Promoter, Retro RPG Podcast, Tom Obscure Variant Chaser Chase, Zaventorian, he knows all 97 Nintendo games, Andrew actually collecting Engage O, B-Nugs, Chesno, all your base are belong to him, Colby, he is Sinistar, Corhagen does what Nintendo don't, Daniel McArdle, who thought this was the Retronauts Patreon, the Modern Database, Danny Gomez, the Philatelist, Dork Overlord, my childhood PlayStation idol, Game-Rave.com, Joseph Rogers got 50,000 on Double Dragon, collector of everything, including Atari, Kalen McAteer, Sam, Sega Mark III Marks, and Sean the Video Game Illuminati LaCroix. Thank you guys so much. People say that I should just cut everyone's name up, and then when new people come to the Patreon, just paste them in somewhere in there. When someone leaves the Patreon, just cut them out. First of all, that would probably be more work than just reading off everyone's names at the end of every episode. Second, if you're the person who actually just sat through me just reading out names for 4 minutes, I've ruined the end of the show for you, because you want to hear the sweat and blood that goes into me reading all these names at the end of these episodes. It just becomes a pre-recorded thing. Who cares? Just wasting everyone's time at that point. I thought about putting a tidbit that I learned from the week, right at the end, here what you're listening to right now, if anyone actually got through all the Patreon names without shutting off the podcast. But then that would just be more work I have to do. Then every episode I'd have to think of an interesting tidbit so people would want to listen through all the Patreon names. And I guess the last reason is most people are just here to hear me say B-Nugs every week. B-Nugs, if you ever stop being a patron, we're just going to cancel the segment.